Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, I'm gonna just pop in the chat. That's my TheraBundle link. So if you're here because of me or Tamara and you want to buy TheraBundle, there's my link. We are here to talk about online income outside of therapy. So I dropped a second link through ClickUp to gather questions from you. So go ahead and click that, fill out any questions you have. We might end up moving the questions into the chat. I don't know. We're gonna make it up as we go and figure it out. All right. Tamara's on her way in. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. I want to give you a little bit of time to drop your questions in if you have them. And we're ready to get into the weeds. So don't feel like this has to be, some short Q&A kind of thing. We're ready to get into it. So like deep business strategy, like kind of a mindset issues, practical stuff, your sales page isn't converting, you need help with the copy. We're here for all the things. You have created a product, but you don't know how to get people to buy it. You built an audience, but you don't know what to make for them. We've gotcha. So drop in the link again in the chat. And as people come in, Tamara and I will be talking, so we might not see. Robin, your message is coming through as a private message. I don't know if you meant it to be that way. So I don't know if we're going to move to the Q&As being in the chat or keep it in that ClickUp doc. All right. Michelle, would you mind dropping that question in the ClickUp doc that I just dropped there? Thank you. What typically happens is the chat starts blowing up with conversation, which is what we want. We want you guys talking to each other, but then we miss some of the questions and that stinks for y'all. So I think the wise thing to do is to keep having the questions go through that link. Tamara, so good to see you. Yes. Awesome. Tamara,
Hello. I'm sorry I couldn't find the link anywhere, but I just found it.
I had a feeling I voxed you because I was like, if I'm her, I'm not knowing where that link is because you don't have to register for it.
No, well, I thought I did, but I didn't, evidently. Sorry. Hello, I'm here.
Woohoo. Okay, so I was just letting everybody know that I think it's going to be cleanest if we keep having people submit their questions through that ClickUp link. So if they could just keep sharing it in the chat over and over as new people join, we could change our minds about that later. But I don't want questions to get lost in the chat. So I have that link pulled up on my other screen. Let me give you a little bit of lay of the land. So Tamara and I could, Suzanne, would you mind dropping that question into the link here? And Robin, you too. You can both drop them through that link because otherwise, listen, I'm a little bit sick. My brain is not working that well. So I know me, if I'm trying to talk to y'all and look at the chat, it's not going to go well for any of us. So we're going to be pretty casual today. Our goal really is just to help you move through any stuck points you're having as you're building an online income stream. And it literally can be from the very beginning where you're like, I got so many ideas, I don't even know what to do with myself, to I know I want to do this, but I don't have a single idea about what to do or who I want to work with. All the way through, you're making 100 G's a launch, but you can't figure out how to scale that up. So anywhere in the process, because we've been through all of those parts of the process and we want to help you. We're actually not pitching anything today. This is not one of those webinars where we bring you in and then we're like, and here's 30 minutes about what you should buy from us next. That's not the purpose. We just want to be helpful. And I think that there will be times, hopefully, that Tamara remembers somebody from the TheraBundle that has an offering that might be related to the issue you're struggling with. She will mention that when she does. If she does, I'd super appreciate it if you use my link to purchase the bundle, unless you came here because somebody besides me or Tamara invited you, in which case you should definitely get into your emails and use their link because we want them to make some money on the bundle. All right, I'm going to drop the ClickUp link one more time. And I'm going to do a brief introduction of myself and then have Tamara do a brief introduction of herself. Basically, so you trust that we know something about what we're talking about. It's the goal. I started an online therapy practice from working in community. Well, it wasn't community mental health. It was a university counseling center. I'd worked in community mental health before that. And I loved my cushy little job at a counseling center in a university. They were paying me well. I was, like people thought I did a decent job, but I was working about 50 hours a week and I was commuting 10 hours a week. And I was having a great time at work and not such a great time outside of work because there was no outside of work. So I knew like I'm doing something different. This is not the way my life is going to go down. And I knew that I wanted something that was portable and profitable. And I figured that I could do an online practice. This is, I don't know, 2015-ish. So I didn't know anybody else who was doing it, but I felt certain that it could be done. And that was how I was going to try. And as I was building that practice, I was really intentional. Like I wanted my overhead to stay low, which is why I wanted it to be online in part. And I also wanted to be able to travel extensively or move and not have to rebuild my practice from the ground up. I also knew that that was not the only thing I wanted to do because I'm greedy and I did not want to have my butt in the seat 20 hours a week. I wanted to be able to not be tied to appointments all the time. So I already knew like side hustles in my plan. And the first time I launched a course for my side hustle, I remember vividly making 12 grand on the first launch and thinking like, I felt like I was going to get arrested. It felt so ridiculous that I could have, y'all, the course was not made. Let me be clear. The course was not made. I pre-sold the course. And I felt like literally I was going to get arrested because it felt too easy to have come up with an idea, been good to some people. So I had an audience and then sent some emails and they bought the course. It was insane. Fast forward to the biggest launch I've ever had was over $400,000 in a single freaking launch. I truly felt like my head was going to explode. Like I couldn't believe that was happening. I remember my husband, our friend who's here right now, actually, and I were sitting on the couch. We were watching football and my phone was just blowing up with one sale after another, after another. I kept being like, oh my God, it's another, it's another. It was awesome. And if that's the kind of life you want, I definitely want to help you to have that. Now, that all sounds so good, but there are also a lot of bad points and a lot of hard freaking work. But I'm telling you, it did feel like magic in the beginning. So we're here to be like super transparent about what the good sides are, what the crappy sides are, so you can figure out if you're really interested in it before you go paying, thousands of dollars for some course. And then you're like, ooh, didn't know it's going to be like this. Right. And yeah, I think I have lots of strong opinions about how the best way to go forward with this kind of stuff. And Tamara does a really nice job of balancing me out when I have really strong opinions that are opinions and not facts. So we should do well together. You want to introduce yourself, Tamara?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Tamara. I am a fan of Amber's, and I have known Amber for a long time. I'm a therapist in private practice. I'm based in France. It is 8 p.m. That is why I'm quietly shoving a bit of baguette into the side of my mouth because it is dinner time, and of course I didn't eat. But yeah, it's lovely to be here. I have been in private practice for, I would say, about 14 or 15 years now, maybe a bit more. And I'm a UK qualified psychotherapist, and I moved to France many years ago, and then I moved to other places as well. And the way that I managed to maintain my practice was by working online, on the telephone first and then online. And when I came back to private practice after taking some parental leave, I found Amber's group, the online therapist group, and I watched, I'm not kidding, every video. And in those days there were a lot of lives, and there were, and it was anyway. And I restarted my practice, and I did some coaching with Amber, and I did exactly as Amber said, and I filled my practice in 3 months the way that I wanted to. I wanted 12 clients. I wanted to work over 3 days, and Amber helped me design, the way that I could still be available to my then 2-year-old. And then sort of slowly, as I was building my practice, I started building other things as well, just by accident. I redid all my paperwork, and then a friend said to me, oh, well, can I just buy it from you? And then I thought, well, I'm going to check with a lawyer that this is all legit and okay. And so I did. And then I started selling that paperwork. And then I created a free course about directory listings. And then I made another little thing. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, I did something about learning to love online therapy. So for people who were working online but didn't really know how to enjoy it, you know. And I did an experiential course for that. And you know, that first time you sell something that you launch is wild, isn't it? I mean, I think I made like 2.5 grand, and it was like I thought I was rolling in it. I was like, this is amazing, you know, because I had like 45 people sign up, and I thought like I was overcharging because I hadn't created it yet. And we had the best time. Like, I'm still friends with people from that round of the course in 2020. And I did 5 cohorts of that, and then created other things. And I've got coaching groups. I did a mastermind last year. I've hosted Therabundle. This is the 3rd year of Therabundle. First summit this year. Yeah, so like downloads, courses. I sort of tried lots of different things, and maybe if people are interested in hearing about the difference in how we've designed our businesses, we can talk about the spider versus the funnel at some point. Yeah, and so you know, yeah, so I'm a fan. And what I love is, like, Amber and I have both like also studied a fair bit of online business, and so we've got different experience, but we've also learned from different people as well. And that's really interesting when we talk about different perspectives on how we approach, you know, launches and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I hope you don't mind if I have a bit of decaf and a baguette while we're here.
I think we can all be very casual and drink what we need to drink and eat what we need to eat. And I am going to, so there's been a poll up of where people are. I'm going to give you one more minute to fill out the poll. If you see it, if you don't stress out about it. And then I'm going to share it with all of you so you can see where everyone is. And I also want to point out to you a new feature in Zoom. In my top right corner where it says view, I can now set it up to be multi-speaker. So I can see the person who's speaking big, but I can still see all of you below. So that's awesome. And I am in love. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to share it with you. Okay, so most folks here are in the I need a freaking idea stage, which is very good to know, because Tamara can go off the freaking deep end talking business strategy that nobody's going to be interested in but us. So feel free to rein us in. The next level is I have too many ideas. I totally relate to that. Then we've got people who've been building an audience, and we can talk more about that. Been creating a product, and I have a product and an audience, and I'm struggling to sell it. Welcome. And I'm selling, but I want to scale. Okay. I'm going to pop over to the questions. If you have a question, be sure that you submit it through this little form here. And I just want to give you a quick little overview as we think about online income. We'll do a little teaching. Let me see if I have it on this screen. Okay. We're not going to be cute. We're just going to be practical. I know it's not going to share my screen in a cute way. I do not care. All right. So the reason that most of us want to be able to have more income, more income, is because we know that what income really gives us is more time. And when we have more time, we truly have more freedom. So if I were to ask you guys, what are you here for? What do you want to do a side hustle for? A lot of the answers are going to be, in fact, put them in the chat. I want more freedom. I want to be able to earn more money without being attached to appointments. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to spend time with my family. Maybe I want to just do different things with my brain instead of the same thing all day, every day, right? So the way that we go about making money online in particular, at least the models that I'm really familiar with, require just 3 things. It is going to require that you have somebody to sell it to. So we'll call that people, because it's a P, and I'm about to do lots of Ps. So we need persons to sell stuff to, right? We need a product that we're going to sell to these persons. And then we need some sort of way to sell it, a process, a selling process. Okay. So it may be that you're like, oh, I'm going to like sell a subscription of me doing quick little cheerleadery messages to mamas who've just had new babies so that they can pay $5 a month and have me in their ear every time they're at that moment of like, I'm about to tear my hair out. I don't think I can do this anymore. Right. The idea, I think, that's super cool for therapists is we are able to use the skill sets that we have in ways that help a huge number of people through products online, as opposed to just the 12 to 25 people that we're being able to see in our practice. So with them, maybe we do really deep work, but there are a whole bunch of people who will A, never come to therapy, B, may not be able to afford to do therapy right now, C, need more than just therapy. They need supports outside of therapy. And we can create products that support them in getting better and having better lives. It don't all have to be therapy. And we don't have to be sitting with our time paid for, right? What would it be like if you could create, I don't know, a membership so that you're truly earning $700 an hour when you think about the time you put in that membership instead of $150 an hour because you're doing one-on-one therapy. So it also offers us a chance to scale up our income while not working quite so hard. And there are lots of myths around that and lots of truths. We'll get into them together. All right, I'm going to pull up our questions and I'm actually going to, am I still sharing my screen? No, I'm not. Ooh. All right, I'm going to go in order. There's one from Tamara who says, this is cool. The way that I opened it, created the question bot.
I was testing. I was just testing. You have to test everything. So if there's one thing I could give everybody, test all your processes, test them with a fake email address, always have testing processes. And if you do a collaboration with someone, test their stuff too.
Yep. And I would add to that, that even though you're going to test the heck out of everything to make sure all the things are working, some things are still not going to work. And you have to develop a lot of tolerance.
Oh, absolutely. The number of times, like during Therabundle this year, contributors so kindly and gently have been like, hey, there's a mistake here. There's a type, there's a letter missing. This form, this button isn't working, even though we tested everything. So yes, absolutely. We have to be gracious with ourselves.
Absolutely. Let's start with, and Tamara, maybe you're going to have some ideas about this because I'm better at narrowing down ideas than helping people who are having trouble generating them. But since the top number of people here are like, I'm having trouble generating ideas about how to make money online. Do you have some advice or thoughts about how they could do that?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a process around this, around developing your idea. And the first question to ask yourself is, if you were in a room with a lot of people, if you were at a dinner party, or if you went to something, what might you know more about than most people? And there's going to be a bunch of stuff. So, you know, if you've got curly hair, then you probably know more about curly hair products than most other people. If you have grown up in a particular place that is different to the place where this event is being held, then you might know more about, like I grew up in Greece. So if I go to an event here in France or in London, I often know more about Greece and growing up in the northern suburbs of Athens than most people, right? And so those are just like a couple of examples. If you have a dog, for example, if you've got like you know, a Cane Corso and you know loads about looking after Cane Corsos, then you might know more than other people about their skin problems. Do you know what I mean? So when you write a whole list of those things, and I encourage you to do that now, if you write a list of all of those things that you know, that's the first step. Like, what might you know more of than an average group of people? And the second stage of that process is, have you seen anyone selling how to do that? So if you go on, so I'm not wearing it today, but I've put eyeliner on every day of my adult life almost, right? And people always say to me, how do you do a cat flick? Could I tell you how to do it? Yes. Could I sell you how to do it? Probably not. You know? And people always joke with me, like, maybe you could, but I don't think so. You know, I'd have to start like a whole new thing, you know? Could I just show you how to do it, or could I show you how to do it on my face? Sure. Could I show you how to do it on your eyelids? Probably not, because we don't have the same ones, right? So we have to ask ourselves, secondly, what do we see out there being sold from our list of things that we know? Is there a way of doing that? So, like, I couldn't sell people what it was like to go to school in Greece, you know, in the 80s and 90s, right?
Interesting, but not
But
sellable.
no, but could I start a business? Could I do a course? Could I start a group? Could I do something on traveling and moving to different countries and integrating to different places? Could I support therapists who do that? So I do that in one of my pods. I've got people who live in different countries as therapists, and they figure out how to take their business with them. So we have to look for like what is sellable, and people often get stuck at this stage because they think, well, if someone else is selling it, I can't sell it, I need to find a gap. But actually that's like the opposite. What we're saying is you need to validate your offer. So the second stage is validating your offer. Someone else is selling it, therefore I can sell it because I have a unique perspective. I can't sell it in the same way as them. Obviously, we can't do the same thing. And you'll find that, like, for example, Amber and I both have courses about online therapy, but they're completely different, you know? They have a completely different approach. There's a different result. There's a different purpose to them. But the core element is working online, right? And so you have to kind of figure out your own angle, basically. And then the third stage is like, how do you deliver that? So I'll just kind of, if you've started on your first list of like, what are the things that you might know more about, then that kind of might look interesting to you in terms of like moving to the second column. Okay, so those are my thoughts on ideas. What about you, Amber?
I'm one of those people that I have so many ideas that that's like more of my problem. And if you are someone who loves to learn and you're decent at teaching, it becomes very easy to find things to share. I mean, genuinely, I get hyped up about learning how to fix toilets. I will watch YouTube videos on how to fix my toilet because I just find it so fascinating to know how to fix things myself. And I could genuinely then teach it because it was really interesting to me to learn how to do it. So for me, the subject matter matters less than just the helping other people and like getting excited about learning. And some of you will fall in that category. Others of you, there's like a hill that you die on that's your thing. You know, you could, a lot of times the question is like, what could you get up and talk about for 30 minutes with no notice? If somebody just put you on the spot and you had to go speak on a stage, right? Like, okay, well, I could teach marketing for sure in that time, but that's not even like the real motivator for me. So I'm curious, you could probably pop it in the chat if you want to, where your idea generation kind of comes from. Does it come from like, that's a hill I could die on and people must know about this? I'm very passionate about it. You know, sufferers from chronic illness will often have learned a lot of lessons through that are really valuable and they want to share with others so that they don't have to suffer the same way, right? That's a very specific, I am passionate about this. Others are more like, I'm just passionate about sharing information. And then you tend to be the person with like way too many ideas and it's hard to narrow down.
Yeah, I love that about uh you know, how you build your offers and your business is that what you do is, what I observe is that you listen and then you build in response.
Yeah.
And I have made the mistake several times, and continue to all the time, of deciding what I think people need and then trying to sell it to them. You know, so like, for example, in the summit last week or 2 weeks ago, I held a summit, and on the last day I held what I called a listening party where I played the whole summit. And I thought, well, I'm just going to sit in Zoom, play the whole thing, and I'm going to be there. People can ask me questions. And 2,000 people signed up for the summit, and the people who came to the listening party really got use out of it. But there were only about 10 of us throughout the day. So that's that's an example of like a thing that I think I would need if I was a consumer, And so I've decided everybody else needs it, but actually people haven't got time on a Friday, you know? And so you can do it both ways, but if it's a hill that you really like, you've really got to believe in it. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't mind spending the whole day doing that because I knew that's what I needed. So it wasn't like there would be people who would be like, oh, that's not, I shouldn't have done that. But for me, it was what I needed. So that was good. But you've really got to be dedicated to it. Otherwise, like Amber's approach of like listening and responding and building something in response is really important. That's why it's really important to build your audience either before or at the same time as your offer.
1000% agree. And I know we're going to jump around a little bit today, but if there's one thing that you could walk away from this, like one piece of knowledge, if I could convince you to build an audience before anything else, and we'll talk about exactly what that means, that's the one thing that I would say to do. And for so many reasons, one of those is you don't know what people want. And even if you know what they need, you don't know what they want. And you don't come to know what they want until you're in conversation with a lot of them. And the only way to get in conversation with a lot of them is to give them stuff for free so that they will give you their attention and their feedback, right? That's how we come to know. My little ADHD brain is just jumping. I'm going to move all distractions from my ability to see. When we're engaged with them, not only do we start to care about them more, so we want to serve them more and help them more, they start to feel that. They also tell us what they want. Just like your therapy clients, sometimes what they want and what they need are two different things. But I can still make sure I'm messaging things in a way when I go to sell whatever it is I'm selling that matches for what they're saying they want. And then I'm going to give them what they want and also what they need. Because maybe I know, because I'm on the other side, that what they really need is this thing. But there are other reasons also to build an audience. When you build an audience, the value of that relationship is more than just that they might buy your stuff. And remember, it's most of them won't, but there's a percentage who will that end up paying for all the time you gave away free stuff. The other thing that they can give you is other people want to get in front of your audience. So the number of sponsors who have approached me and offered to pay just so I will put a Facebook post up in my group and leave it there for a month is enormous. I get calls multiple times a week, almost every week, from people who want to pay me to get in front of my audience. They're like, could you just, at the bottom of your newsletter, could you write a PS and mention us? And they want to pay me for that. So you make revenue not only, and one more way, you make revenue not only from what you sell to them from your own product suite, but also if you take, sponsors, you would make money from placing information in front of your audience about this product, hopefully one that you really like and, truly value. But you can also make money on something called affiliate sales. So Tamara makes so much cool stuff. And I really value the things that she created. Her professional will is freaking outstanding. So she will give me a cut of her profit if I share that with my audience. That's called affiliate sales. So I know my audience needs it. Marissa Lawton's course is something that I was an affiliate for, right? I know it was super valuable. So if I'm putting it in front of my people, she only has to do half the work now. She only has to create the product because I'm doing the marketing. So I get 30 to 50% of the profit because I did all the marketing. So that's number one thing I hope you will take home is building your audience is super important, and to do it before or alongside of creating whatever it is that you're going to sell down the road. I'm going to pause on that just in case there's a question about anything that Tamara and I just said. You can put your little electronic hands up if there's a question about that, and we'll pop back and forth between our list over here and questions kind of relevant to what we're saying right now.
Maybe just as we're waiting for some questions, if anyone's interested, if you have bought the bundle, if you haven't bought the bundle yet, there's a couple of offers. Like the one that I was just thinking about is Kirsten Cable. So Kirsten is someone I did coaching with last year and the year before. She's really lovely. She's got her own membership and she's done lots and lots of courses herself. She teaches people about language learning and supports them in that way. And she was the assistant coach inside Elizabeth Goddard's Profitable Playground that I was in. And there's probably like just loads of random information that I've thrown at you. But anyway, she's in my bundle, which is very cool. It's very cool when you work with people and when you follow people and then they want to be in your stuff as an affiliate, like Amber was just sharing, and that's very cool. But her offer is also about turning your competitors into collaborators. And so instead of, like, I think that even in therapy, even though we're all lovely people that want to help the world, obviously, it can feel a little bit lonely or a bit isolated or a bit competitive sometimes, like even with our private practices or when we start doing things. And this perspective of collaboration over competition, like we've talked about it on Amber's YouTube channel before. And it's not that we don't get the feelings of like competition or, you know, sometimes a bit of envy or jealousy, but we can push through that and we can move towards collaboration. And so anyway, I just wanted to say, like, I think that that's a really cool perspective. And there's lots of other cool stuff in there about like creating a download or, you know, selling your business or things like that as well, which are, you know, completely amazing from Megan Tack. And I'm going to have a think about the selling your business one because I can't remember.
Oh,
Oh,
let us know
Gabrielle.
when you remember because I want
Yes,
that one.
Gabrielle Giuliano Villani is the selling your business like from start to finish. And those are really cool offers as well. But I think all of that begins with collaboration because we cannot really do this stuff in complete isolation. I mean, you can do your whole business, you can set up your website, you can create your products and everything, but really building your audience and getting to know people, like we have to collaborate in order to build a business like this.
Totally agree. Margot, you have your hand up. Can you turn on your mic?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Are you ready for my question?
Yeah.
So, I did the absolute no-no in 2015, and now it's 2025, because I still had 3 kids at home, and I was like, oh my God, I can't stay up all night anymore. So I put, I made the course, and then I dropped it. Because back then the malpractice lawyers and everybody I was talking to, because I'm a psychologist, were scaring me about the legal stuff. And then I came back because everybody's doing it now. I finished it and I'm trying to sell it. I I don't feel like that should be a hill I die on. I don't know if I've created something that I think people should want, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, how long do you try to sell it? Because I don't want to give up too early and then say, okay, that's enough. I need to try something else. That was just a bad idea.
Can you tell us before we jump in what the course is about and what you've done to try to sell it already?
It is a course for parents who have kids, basically who have executive function deficits,
Mhm.
learn how to use the principles of behavior to set up an intervention where they teach them over time. Like I felt like I did with my son. I have ADHD, my son has ADHD. It's doing great in college, and believe it or not, I tried many times to get him to go to a coach, but he was like, no, Mom, we're doing great. And we did do great. We could never get him services because he was always above grade level. And I feel like I'm the same way. I didn't get diagnosed until I was in my 40s, embarrassingly enough. I thought all my symptoms were anxiety. And that was always what intrigued me and still does. Well, I don't see kids anymore. I saw kids, adolescents, and adults. oh, I think I'm off on a tangent. I'll get back. But I I always felt like I was doing more when I was helping the parents.
Yeah.
Um, so right, I made the course, kept doing my private practice. Finally, my kids got old enough. They're in their 20s now, where I have plenty of time, not enough money, which is another story. And I was like, I need to try to sell this now. And in the process, I've figured out that I love the creativity. I've always known I love teaching, and I don't like doing the same thing all the time. I want the freedom and staying, I'm in my late 50s, and there's going to be a time when my brain isn't working so well. I'm like, I've got to figure out how to retire, how not to
How
depend.
have you tried to sell it so far?
So I've tried to sell it. Okay, so it's done. I use a CRM called Techmatics. It's all ready to go, and just started to learn about email marketing,
Okay.
and found a guy named Zach Sprucker who does Facebook ads.
Okay.
Just started trying to do a little bit of that.
I already have so many opinions, y'all. Get ready.
Um, so yeah, and thanks for getting me back on track.
Girl,
Um,
I can follow any tangent brain because that is how my brain works. So I feel you.
Me too. Me too. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I mean,
Okay.
I've got a email list now from that. I've spent a couple $100, and I have maybe 90 people on my email list. And I was sitting here today while I was I was like, okay, do I try to do Instagram? Do
No, hell
I
no. No,
try to
girl,
do
no.
an email list? Whoa, what
We
now?
got you. We got you. All right, let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. Okay, so first thing, and remember, these are Amber's opinions. I'll try to separate feelings from facts, but sometimes I say opinions as if they're facts. Tamara will call me out if I do. I'm a strong believer in not running ads until you are already profitable.
Okay.
Because now, if you're already doing it, like we can work with it. But in order to get your messaging right in ads, the only way ads sell anything is if you have nailed the messaging. The only way we nail the messaging is because we've practiced it a lot, live selling our stuff, that we know what's really going to like grab people. So what my suggestion would be, you are on the right path with getting your email list for sure, because that's your property, you own it. Go ahead.
That is how I've gotten the email list, is through the ads. It's
I'm
not
fixing it. I'm
selling
fixing it.
anything yet, but yeah. But
Okay.
they're very expensive audience.
Yeah, it is expensive. So here's how we get an audience in the shortcut. Like the shortcut to getting an audience is getting it in front of other people's audience. Do I believe this is a long-term strategy you should always use? No, I do not. But I believe it's a good short-term strategy. You have a brilliant idea. There are many other people suffering the way that you did. A
Right.
lot of us are teaching what we wish we would have known 5, 10, 15 years ago, which is what makes us so good at teaching it. So if we could get you on other people's podcasts, other people's YouTube channels, inside of other people's online courses, so that A, people could start to know you and associate your name with your specialty, your side hustle specialty. But B, you're going to create a cool freebie, which you may already have, that will good, that you'll talk in the podcast, you'll do your spiel, and then you will hook them into wanting that freebie. So they're going to get the freebie from there, and now they're on your email list. You could participate in things like Tamara puts on, which are way above my ability to do, but summits and bundles and things like that, where you're giving a little information away for free to get people hooked on you and what you're teaching. And then in exchange, they give you their email. So I would absolutely build an organic email list before you go in deep with paid ads. Paid ads, I'll tell you guys this. How many years am I now? Like 6-ish? How many years? No, 9? I'm 9 years in my side hustle business. I have run ads one time for like 2 weeks before I got kicked off because I broke a rule. And I have an email list of like 18,000, all organic helping people. So help for free in front of other people's audiences, have a lead magnet, free opt-in, whatever we want to call it. And that's the way that I would go. And I'm sure that that's going to create more questions for you because that's how good people work. So I'm going to drop the link in the ClickUp form for you to add questions to it. Bam. So you're on the right track, right? Like you've identified.
Right. So it sounds like you think I need to, what's the word you just used? The,
organic.
well, no, the, not collaboration, but the affiliation marketing is really the way you go that way.
That if you Google that word, you're going to get things that are not what you're trying to do right now. Affiliate marketing really means that you're getting paid an affiliate fee to market someone else's product to your audience.
Right, which I don't really have yet.
Yeah, we're not ready for that. We're talking about how do we get you in front of other people's audiences so that their audiences can also become yours. We're wanting other people's audiences to fill your email list. And there are other ways to generate audiences as well, like building your own community. That way is harder. I think it's totally worth it if it's something that you can like really enjoy because it's way more profitable than always borrowing from other people's audiences. I'm going to pause and throw it to Tamara and see if you have anything to add before we go to Atara.
Yeah,
and I have that set up, just so you know. Part of Techmatics is I can have my own membership and
perfect.
Okay.
Go on, Tamara.
Just a couple of clarifying questions. The course that you made, how much are you planning to sell it for, or have you sold it for?
Well,
what's the price on it
right now?
Yeah.
So if you want access to one group webinar where you can ask questions, it's $199 if it's not on sale. And if you want access to 6 Q&A sessions while you're doing it, then it's $497. But my latest thought was that how it really should be set up is like a 2-week challenge.
So is there pre-recorded content or are they live Q&A support?
It will be live. The whole course is recorded.
Right.
And I had a webinar last week that lots of people signed up for and nobody came to that I recorded.
Yes, it happens. Yeah.
I was warned about that, so I wasn't too demoralized, but a little.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to record it too, so then I had to do it over again. Of course, ADHD brain. And the first one went fantastic. Second one went fine, and I got that on recording. And then I have a lead magnet that's basically teaching people how to do a token economy. Because that's what seemed to always overwhelm my parents. Is
so
like,
there's
what do
so Tamara can give you some feedback.
Yeah.
So you've got a lead magnet. So the Facebook ads are running to the lead magnet, is that right?
Well, and I have 2 lead magnets. The other lead magnet is one of the bonus videos that takes out of the course a video of ideas for how to help your kids get what they need home from school.
What do the Facebook ads go to?
The Facebook ads go to that video. And then they could, as a tripwire, I think that's the name, they could sign up for the webinar, which about half did.
Okay. Yes. How much is the tripwire?
Free.
That's not a tripwire. That's a lead magnet. That's a webinar funnel. So tripwire makes money to pay for Facebook ads. So, okay. So technically,
a freebie to a freebie.
Yes, which is very generous of you, and that's completely fine. I don't have any criticism of that. But if you run Facebook ads, and I agree with Amber, I have also grown my audience organically, but having now done some Facebook ads for the summit and the bundle and seeing and I did also for the bundle last year, and it was a massive waste of money last year. What I understand is that your leads are actually a very good price. If you've got 90 people on your list and you've spent a couple of $100s, that's actually a very, very good price for your leads. You really want them to be definitely under $10 a lead, but you need to have a tripwire that earns the money to pay for the Facebook ads. So that should always be a cycle. Whatever you are spending in Facebook ads should be earned back by your tripwire.
Right. And that's not happening. They've
No,
been
it
running
takes
about
time.
$1.50 a lead.
That's
but
cheap.
I have no sales.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Especially if they're staying on your list, then that's wonderful. In terms of pricing, if you're getting the right audience for that price, that's
And I
really
think we
good
don't know
going.
yet because it hasn't been enough time.
Of course. So I see a couple of things that you could patch up, which are that earning money to pay for the Facebook ads would be a priority for me, or switching to a different strategy for building the email list. The email list is a very good idea. I don't know that CRM. I always recommend MailerLite for beginners because it's free to 1,000 subscribers. And if you're paying for a CRM or a mailing list and you've got less than 1,000 subscribers, you shouldn't be paying for anything. You don't need to. So I always get, and it's also technologically like quite straightforward to use MailerLite. If you've got a massive audience, it's different. You need other features, but at the beginning, I still use MailerLite for both of my lists. And so that's the first thing that I would say is like deciding how you're going to build your audience. The important thing is like establishing authority. So having your story front and center, and how this has helped you, your son, and how this has shown up for you, and how you use that, not necessarily like in therapy, but explaining like how it's helpful. The establishing you as an authority, you can definitely do that the way that Amber said, which is by going on people's podcasts, by going on people's YouTubes. But what I would also say is, where is your audience? Like, is your audience parents and more realistically mothers? I'm sorry, but are we talking about targeting mother? Because like I'm sure there are other parents out there who are looking,
safe space.
but I'm sorry, the majority of the time it's me that's looking for that information.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm
going to
trying
pause
to up
you, Margot.
my
I'm going to pause you 1 second because I want to we got a lot of questions. So I want to keep it a little bit shorter.
So I was just going to say, if it is, then I would consider doing something like Substack and writing a blog and sending it out on a Sunday morning, because that is when, like, or a Saturday morning when mum finally gets a lie-in, and I know families come in all shapes and sizes in different, ways, but let's just, for the purposes of generalization. So I would send out like a short blog every single week, and I would do that on a free Substack, because you're going to reach, Substack shows you to plenty of people. And I think that unless you want to teach therapists, unless you want to diversify and create a CEU course for therapists, but if you want to teach their parents, and if you want to reach people in the world on this topic, then I think you need to find a place where they're all hanging out and looking for information. And so that's what I would say. I would say, like, write a Substack, send it out every week, and build your email list that way.
100% agree. And I'm going to share a little graphic that I made while we were talking. Also, freaking Pinterest, dude. For moms, Pinterest ads would crush compared to Facebook or Google ads. I really don't think folks should be growing their email list in the beginning via ads. But if I was gonna, it would be super cheap ads. So here's our little graphic. Come on. Because even ads that are, I can't tell if it's showing you Canva, is it?
Yeah,
it is.
It's good. Good graphic.
Even when you're making even when you're getting leads at a good rate on, let's say, Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever, you're still going in debt. You're going in debt when we should always be profitable. We don't want to, in my strong opinion, go into debt ever in the business. We can be making profit and then spend below that profit to generate new leads. So as Tamara said, and I thoroughly agree, that the smartest place to start, and listen, we've all started making courses before we've had an audience. This is not a sin. We just have a lot of ideas, right? So this okay. But in order to make sure we have somebody to sell to and that our product is what they want and that we know what to say to make them buy it, we want to be building an audience. You can build the audience through other people's audiences, like going on other people's podcasts, YouTube channels, getting in their groups. You can do it through creating audience building events. So Tamara and several other people have hosted summits where you bring in lots of other creators around a subject matter. And in like payment for having organized it, you will get all of the emails of all of the people that come in through the event beyond yours. So let's say you have 5 other people teaching at the summit, you get all the people on their email list too. So that's a way to go. It's a pain in the butt, in my opinion. Like that's way more work than my little brain can do. But boy, does it pay off, because it's a big lead builder. By lead, I mean audience builder. You can build your own community. And this is what I did. As an introvert with social anxiety, I find it much easier to have relationships built around me helping other people than having to navigate what roles are supposed to look like in normal relationships. So building a community on Facebook was the way that I went, but you can build community on YouTube. Let me give you a little trick about community. There is a difference between building a community versus nurturing a community. So for example, Margot mentioned that the place that she has her ERM or EHO, there's different names for it, CRM, also lets you have like a community place. And my website does too. I can have a community there, but I can only nurture people there. I don't get new leads because nobody's just hanging out in Kartra looking for places to chill and hang out. That's my website provider. So I have to go get my community established elsewhere for new leads to come in. And I can either keep nurturing them there, like in Facebook or YouTube, or I can bring them into a smaller community like in Kartra and love up on them there for the nurturing stage. But to get new leads, also called lead gen, we have to be doing it out in public in places that naturally have lots of people hanging out. And it's different than like on Pinterest, for example, I could put up like a cool infographic. And if they wanted like a deeper blog about it, I could exchange like, hey, I'll give you the blog if you give me their email, right? That's lead gen, I'm getting email. But Pinterest isn't good for community. There's no engagement, there's just an exchange. And community is really, we need it to turn cold leads into hot leads. Okay. And then the last strategy to build your email list that I can think of off the top of my head is the ad strategy that we just talked about. Again, I think ad strategy, like I'm doing ads this next year for sure. But I already really know my audience well at this point. So I'll be able to hopefully really target to build my email list some more before my next launch. And then I just put these words down here, magnet. Did I spell that right? No, magnet, whatever. These are the same, different words for the same thing. Lead magnet, opt-in, freebie, all the same thing. It basically means like, I'm giving you free stuff, but you're giving me your email address. And this is how we get them onto your email list. Okay, I know we're going to take Atara's question and then we're going to go to the ClickUp questions because I know you had your hand up early. Go ahead, Brend.
And thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I think you answered a bunch of my questions in that conversation, which was genius and super helpful. Thank you. So when we're starting to build this email list with the lead magnets, MailerLite was a suggestion of where to do that. Okay, great. I think organic ways to grow the audience, I got that. My question then would be about that audience. You know, Amber, I know in our course, we're talking about flow clients, getting really niched in and specific. So with like a community, would it be better to go a little bit more broad, or same strategy, we want to really hone in and get as specific as possible?
The tighter the niche, the more the rich.
Okay.
Because it's the same thing, like people still have to find you. So if we had a community around anxiety, well, there's like 5 bajillion of them. So it's hard for somebody to find you in that haystack. But if you had a community around, I don't know, women with panic disorder post-menopause, well, you're real easy to find because it's a very specific thing that they're looking for. And you get paid by sponsors way more money when you're hyper niched than when you're general.
Okay.
Extra cool is you can always get more general over time.
Okay. Okay. And then can you guys mention any resources for course building? Because that is something I definitely want to do. I just don't currently have 10 grand to do so. So any other resources in that area would be great.
Yeah.
Do you mean like the platform, or do you mean how you create it, or do you mean the gear that you need?
Yeah, I'm like a step below Margot, even, like barely starting on this. So I kind of have some general ideas of what the course might look like, pre-records combined with like some live coaching, and with some opt-ins of like, if you want one-on-one coaching, you can add that in. But yeah,
Nice.
more around like, how do I build that out? Where, like, is there a course someone teaches to do that? Yeah, any resources. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. First of all, there are like 4 billion courses that teach you how to do that. And I just want to reassure you that you can do it any way you like. So you can record a course with a mic and earphones like this, with a camera like this that cost me $100. You can do that, You can also spend an absolute fortune if you want to on lighting and background, and you can do whatever you want to, really. There is guidance for all the stages of course creation, and I do really think that, like, figuring out, like, serving your audience and like connecting with them is the most important part. And my experience is that the majority of people don't really care whether you send them a video on Google Drive, or if you put it in Teachable, or if you host it like I do on my website. I use a plugin, I host everything myself. It's a massive responsibility. I don't recommend anyone does that. Yeah, well, we've all learned our lessons, haven't we, from listening to
so
me
many.
but you can do it any way you want to. But what I have found is that audiences really don't care as long as it's easy to find. So I mean, at the point that you're ready to like publish something, then you might want to have a look at, okay, do I want to go on like Teachable, Podia, Kajabi, blah blah blah, and you could read a few reviews of those things and see. But basically, we always want to start with the simplest and the cheapest, is my opinion.
1000% agree. And I would say that at the stage that you're in, I'd be really focused on building the audience and helping for free, helping for free, helping for free, helping for free. And then I would pre-sell my idea of the course with a outline. I would literally and by outline, I mean, these are the 8 modules that we will cover. That's it. Pre-sell it, do not build it. And then once you get enough people who are like, yes, I definitely want that, then I am teaching live for the 8 weeks of the course for the first 2-ish times. And then once I got a handle on, okay, like this lands well, this does not land well, then I'll go ahead and record it. But honestly, Atara knows, she's in my marketing intensive course. The first time that I taught it, I was like, okay, Amber, like, don't get crazy making slide decks. Like, don't do all that, because you don't know how things are going to land. And then you're going to have to go back, re-record, change the slide decks, blah, blah, blah. I just literally typed it out in Google Docs, and I gave them the Google Docs, and I taught from the Google Docs. That's it. And honestly, if I were building a course to this day, I would first build it in Google Doc and teach it from Google Doc. I wouldn't house it any freaking where. And you just give them the links in your email and that's it. This is called minimum viable product. We get sold on the idea that because course creation is freaking fun, that we want to take courses from Courtney Foster Donahue, Amy Porterfield, or any of these people, and we spend $1,000, you know? Okay, yay, I've built a really pretty course that no one's ever going to see because I don't have an audience and I haven't learned how to sell yet. Let's get those two things first. And because you guys are full of great information and you want to be creating the course, you can still do that. Just don't put it in something pretty yet. I loved Teachable. They have a free version of Teachable because I love that I could like move things around, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, this should flow this way. But it was more just because it was fun for me to be able to move things.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to our ClickUp. And this is a good one. And a lot of you are going to have the same question. This is from Marlo. And she says, is social media worth the work? What would you say, Tamara?
No.
Great.
And mute.
So, yeah, so let's think about social media. There are 2 reasons to use it. One of them is if you want to be an influencer. Most of you aren't going to want to do that. It's highly competitive and it takes over your entire life. It's very hard to do. And when you're an influencer, the way you make money is not through selling your courses. It is through basically advertising for other companies. So you build an audience by being cool. And then companies are like, hello, we have a treadmill. Will you talk about it on your vlog? And then people buy the treadmill and this is how you make your money. So I don't know how to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. I think social media, if it's a place where you can build community, like not Instagram, you know, that doesn't build community, not, what's the one with the short videos, not TikTok, you don't build community there, right? The only time social media has been worth it for me is when Facebook groups were really going off and you could build community there. But otherwise, I really hardly use it. I pre-schedule a bunch of posts and they go out and they don't do a whole lot for me, honestly. Tamara, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I sort of think social media is there as a legitimacy tool for people to find us and see what we've been doing. If you're not going to use it, if you're not Gen Z and you're not going to use it in an influencer type way, if you're not going to make reels, if you're not, you know, Kim, who works with me, she schedules every Monday, like every Monday is my admin day and every Monday is her filming day. And she makes like reels and content. She makes great content. It's really useful, but that's a whole day of her week, every week. And she really likes doing it. And I would not be able to handle that, you know? Yeah. That is not for me. Like she asked me to film one video for the bundle of just me walking through a door. Just put your phone over there and just walk through the door, because she wanted to put a load of clips together. And I couldn't even do that, you know? So I just know that it's not for me. Gone are the days of, you know, posting on our business pages. We know that they don't get attention now, you know? So we have business pages to express like that we exist and to show people that there's a history and that we've been around. I have a LinkedIn page so that people can look me up if they want to, but I'm not using it for that. There are people who post articles on LinkedIn. That could be a good place. You can do groups and you can have pages on LinkedIn if that is your vibe, if that is your audience. That's never been people that follow me, but yes, you can make any place your sort of social media home, but it is very difficult. And in our world, it's quite closed. I think the Facebook group world has become much less generous. And now, because people really don't want to be spammed, and admins know that of groups, admins of groups know that. And so they're really protective over their spaces. So there'll be like no marketing, or only market on this day, or, you know, only do it in this thread or whatever. And so it's quite difficult to build your audience that way. So that's what I would say. You can have a faceless YouTube, you can have a faceless social media. I think you have to have a concept and you have to have a strategy and plan it. You can use AI, and there's lots and lots of things that you can do. But I think you have to really love it and really enjoy it, not just as a consumer of content, but as a creator.
Yeah, agree. Well, and that's sort of at the root of everything that we'll talk about, is if you are passionate, like you freaking enjoy doing Instagram Reels, you will find traction. It may not be the thing that's going to turn into sales, but it can generate leads. And Shauna made a really good point about like when you see a new social media pop up, like wow, was it Clubhouse? If you are somebody who loves new tech and you jump in early, you can get a lot of new leads that way. Will it be the thing that runs your business? No. Social media should never, ever be the thing that most of your business runs on. That should always be your email list or texts, either one of those. But, like if some new social media popped up and I was excited about it and having a good time, like I thought Threads was going to be cool, I would jump in and see, like, is this fun? And can I generate, like, because it's new, there's not a lot of competition, I might generate some new leads. But I do want to separate out social media from search engines. YouTube, even though it's like a social media, is a search engine. So I will absolutely spend time learning and doing YouTube because that content doesn't go away the minute that I put it up, goes down the feed and then it's gone. It's there forever. And people can enter a search term and find my stuff. And the same is true. My coach actually, she took off a year from making YouTube content and was still making over $500,000 from previous YouTube videos without doing any more lead gen or nurture. And that was just a small piece of her business. Pinterest is also a search engine. So if I was like not having a lot of time, I don't enjoy social media, those would be the places that I would be hanging out. Okay, next one. This is from Michelle. She says, where are some good places to advertise CE courses besides Facebook groups and CE broker? I'm not getting a high volume from Facebook groups, and CE broker won't let me advertise until the state approves my company. Yeah, okay.
I don't know the answer to that, but Michelle Risser has a course inside the bundle about diversifying your income by creating CEUs, and I bet she knows the answer to that.
Yep. And I would add, you guys, to something that was a blessing for me. I knew that I had lots of business interests, and the blessing part of that was I was trying to figure out how will I decide which to pursue. So before I followed any of them, I really thought through, oh baby, I thought through like which of these is highest profit, lowest effort. And what I know about CEs, which is not a lot, and Michelle's going to know a lot more, so I want to know how much money can I make doing that? How much effort is it going to be for me to market it? Because creating it's easy. How much effort will it be to market it? How much of a cut of my profit is CE broker, for example, gonna take? And does that make sense for me and what I want to do? I knew that I wanted to make at least $100,000 a year in my side hustle because I wanted it to be my primary hustle. So I knew that like making $18 every time a course sold, and I have no idea if that's right, wasn't going to do it for me, right? So think through, don't let it paralyze you. Chase your dreams, my friends. But if you're like me and you've got 10,000 dreams, then I would really suggest like looking at what's going to be profitable and what's like not going to take up my whole life to do to help you narrow things down. Okay. Robin, let's come to you while I try and figure out where I am on this form and find the next question. Oh, there I am. Okay, go ahead. Oh, she may be running around somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one. This is also from Michelle, and it says, if you would give yourself advice like 5-ish years ago, what would you say about trading hours for money, like in therapy, versus creating the course? Do it now. You've got nothing to lose. She's looking for some motivation.
Okay, I'm here, Amber.
Okay, let's do this question, then we'll come over to you.
Okay.
Tamara, do you have thoughts?
I think that the audience is the most important thing, you know, at the beginning. So like if I could go back 5 years, I would do what I was doing 5 years ago, which was sending out a weekly blog, a weekly newsletter. And it was very simple. And I don't even think I hit 600 words every week. But I was just doing that, and I had I had like a 70% open rate on my emails. I had a really little list. It was like less than 1,000 people, and everybody opened it and people wrote back to me. And so if I could go back 5 years, I would do that. In fact, what I would do is I would remind myself to continue doing that, because I got lazy eventually, and then I would just send a monthly thing out, and then I would just get in touch with people when I launched, and then I would send them a free gift to make them like me again. And instead, if I could go back, I would say just send something out every week and build a relationship, as opposed to, is it better to do time for money or a course? Because what we need to do is listen, and that hasn't changed. The way that people learn has changed. I used to do a workshop. I've done a workshop with 700 people in it, and now I'm lucky if I get like 100 people, you know? So, and a much bigger audience that I'm pitching to. And so it's because we're not trapped indoors in lockdown. So it's very, very different, right? Content, research, like all sorts of things have changed. So what we need to do is listen. So I think it's less about putting the time into creating a course or time for money, and more about like, what is it that people are asking from us?
Agree again. This is why we're business besties. The thing that I would maybe add there, oh shoot, is my brain gonna leave me? 5 years ago, would I change anything? Sugar. It went right out of my mind. It'll come back later. Oh no, I remembered.
Okay, good.
Okay. In order to have time for your side hustle, you can't be seeing 50 clients a week, right? In my opinion. So what I would really suggest is really thinking through, how can I get my income up per hour? You can do it in my marketing course and through many offers in the bundle. In order to free up the hours that it's going to take to do the side hustle. And side hustles take time. And I think the other piece that I didn't realize other people were missing, I love learning, y'all. So I have listened to so many YouTube videos, so many podcasts, read so many books on side hustles and business, and it's fun for me. I love reading that stuff. So I think sometimes we underestimate how much time you're going to have to invest in learning free content, not buying a course, learning from free content or reasonably cheap content before you're really going to be able to like really make mad traction. So if I could go back, I wish I would have started way earlier. I wish I would have gotten brave and like left my big jobby job and started my online practice earlier. The online practice thing went fine. And I think like building the audience was the smartest thing I ever did. So create time, build an audience, expect to learn a lot. Okay, Robin, sorry, my friend.
Hey, nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Lower my hands. That's annoying. Okay. So I tried a couple things this year, and what I learned is I don't have thick skin at all. Like any criticism I got really just blew me out of the water. And that in combination with it not generating as much income or as many participants as I thought, just really like just bummed me out. And now I kind of don't want to do anything. But I feel like I need to do something, but I kind of don't know what to do. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I did a couple webinars. Well, first I did a webinar on anti-Semitism and helping Jewish therapists treat Jewish clients or things like that. And I first did it with someone who's like super high energy. And so I looked super, super low energy and got a lot of negative feedback about that. So that just felt awful. So then I did one on my own, and she did her own. We were still collaborating, but like we just presented it separately. But I still got some negative feedback. Like I'm very introverted and very like down to earth, whatever. Like I don't get hyped up. And so as hyped up as I could make myself in the presentation still was not enough for some people, and still got some negative feedback about that. And it just like killed me. So I was like, okay, I can't do this. And then we tried to do some groups, like supervision groups, and nobody wants to pay for supervision groups. Like everybody wants free peer supervision. So that didn't work either. And so I don't know. I am not like super passionate about having a side hustle. I just feel like I'm not getting enough private pay clients that I feel like I need to do something, but I don't know what to do. And I don't know what you can do if you don't want a lot of criticism.
Oh, girl, I feel ya.
So.
You know what? Just to normalize, I get negative feedback all the time about being too hyped up. So you just never gonna please every dang body. And it's almost like, and I want to say this, you have been such an inspiration to me these last 6 months. Like seeing you be I've been so emotional today, y'all. I don't know what's going on. But seeing you be so brave and sharing things that you know can make you a lightning rod, but doing it because you believe and you know that people need to hear it, like that is what it's about. And that's how you are going to get clients and build your side hustle. And I've just been so freaking proud of you and like inspired by your courage. So screw those people who had negative things to say. But I think the short answer, because I'm hearing you say I'm not super passionate about the side hustle. I think if you keep staying in your lane of genius with being brave and courageous in areas where you feel super passionate about, however you choose to do it, in blogs, in video, in whatever, you're going to be a magnet for those private pay clients, and side hustle stuff is going to come naturally towards you. So
I think I realized I can do blogs pretty well now.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And so I just tried to look up the Substack thing, and I'm a little confused. I had looked it up a couple of times before, and I'm a little confused about Substack. I don't get it. I get how it's different than Reddit. I don't really get how to work it at all.
There's this dude that might be interesting to you. I'm not going to remember his name right now, but you can Google him by like the newsletter guy, I think is like his thing. But he makes a crap ton of money on newsletters. And that would be your freaking sweet spot, because it is less of a like personal attack kind of place. I don't know a ton about it. I've just been learning about it literally in the last like 12 hours. But he's like, and I'm not saying any of us are going to do this, but he sold his newsletter for like $19 million.
My God.
Right. So you're writing content that's in a zone of interest for you, but you're also selling ad spots. Once your list gets to a certain size, like 10 to 12,000, you can start selling ad spots in that content. And that's what starts making you money. So I think it was in a podcast I listened to literally this morning. Some guy was like, yeah, I make about $5,000 for every email I send out, and I send out an email every single day.
Oh my
So,
God.
I don't know. That might be an interesting thing to check out. It's a little more protected, but I think you're doing the right thing is the thing that I want you to hear. I know Tamara has stuff to add. So do you want to say more?
I wrote down 3 things. So first of all, it's lovely to see you, Robin, and it's so nice. And so I wrote down 3 things. Number 1, we all get criticism. People criticize me for being too cheerful, and I'm very negative, you know?
It sounds so lovely in your accent.
Know. It's just because of my accent. It makes me sound cheerful, but I'm very dark, I promise you. So people say it all the time. They're always laughing at me. Oh, I'm just so frivolous and, no. Okay, and people write to me. I've had the most vile, vicious emails over the years. So what I have learned is, first of all, Kim actually reads the emails first now, because, and this happened when I went to go and do a presentation in Oxford at the Masters event this year. I got quite a vicious message from somebody, and Kim read it first and deleted it, so I couldn't read it beforehand. And then I did go and fish it out later and read it. But I didn't do it before. So what we have to do with that kind of stuff is protect ourselves. And this is not my circus, not my monkeys, not my circus, right? I keep my eyes on my own plate and I just do my own thing. And yes, that sometimes I have to take feedback and criticism on board, but stuff that's vicious that's not for me. I don't learn that way. Kids don't learn that way, neither do I, you know? So I will take feedback and I ask for it all the time. Like in the bundle, I'm like, contributors, tell me what you don't like. Let me fix it. I want to know everything. But when people are vicious, no, thank you. I'm not here for that. So that was the first thing. The second thing is that building the side hustle or whatever the other project is, I don't know if that's the solution to I'm not getting enough private pay clients, right? However, the solution to both of those things can be the same. So I love this idea about doing a blog or a vlog or something like that. If you like writing, I love that. Have a look at Substack as a user before you sign up as a creator. So like my mother-in-law, she's got a Substack. She writes stories about cats. She's got a following and she just sends out a story about cats every Sunday. Good for her. Do you know what I mean? She's got loads of people following her. So like just follow as a user. That's my second thing. And the third thing that I wrote down, because you were saying like we tried this, we did these, we did these workshops and then we did a supervision group or a consultation group. There is no substitute for longevity. Novelty sometimes works the first time around, but there is no substitute for longevity. I really believe like if we keep doing the thing and we keep getting good feedback, at some point the thing will stick.
Right.
Somehow it will evolve into the offer that it is meant to be. And I sort of believe that all our offers, all our whatever we're creating, they already exist. We're just uncovering them, a bit like music, like it's there. We just have to discover it. And so I think that that's really important, Robin, to remember is that what you are creating, it exists. You're just uncovering the format and the delivery. Does that make sense?
I love your beautiful brain, Tamara. Did you have a third one? I think you do.
That was the third
Oh,
one.
okay.
That was it. I did 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think, in the early stages of creating content for free online, we get more crappy comments from people once your audience gets big enough. And what I have been seeing is the more outspoken people are about who they are and how they work from the get-go, the less confusion the audience has. And the haters will move on because they're like, oh, well, that person's not for me, and they move to somebody else and your crew will stick. Yeah.
That was the other thing that I was going to say is that, Robin, as you were saying, like, I'm introverted, this is my vibe, and the people that you want the people who like your vibe to come to you. We don't want to appeal to I'm not trying to appeal to everybody. Like I've got a particular way of being. Everybody that ends up in my groups are neurodivergent and living in different countries, and that's just my vibe. Do you know what I mean? That's just, and Amber will have like, lots of similar values between people that follow Amber. Lots of us share values, and so will you. So I'm not trying to appeal to the people that follow this person or this person or this person. I'm trying to find my people.
Yeah. And the more you are of yourself out loud, even though it's scary as hell, and some people will be buttheads, and some people, when they're a troll, that hurts. But when there's somebody who says something that is negative and maybe true, like something that you already fear about yourself, that sends you into a freaking tailspin. So having friends who are in the same kind of industry to talk to about when that happens is super helpful. Like I've gone to Tamara many times and been like, is this true? I feel like this could be true, and okay, if it is, then we'll work on it. But talk about like a mirror. Okay. The next question is from, I can't tell. In the question, oh, it's from Alexandra. Hey, girl. The question is thoughts about offers that are for non-therapist audiences and how to differentiate my role, not as their therapist, but something else. Yeah. So like people who could be potential clients, but they're actually coming in through an offer rather than through therapy. Yeah. Yeah. I got lots of thoughts. Do you want to go first, Tamara?
No, you go first. Mine are not organized yet. I have to write them down.
Okay. The first piece is that it is all figure outable. And so when you start getting pushback from people like, that's not legal, that's unethical, baby, they don't know what they're talking about. They've heard that from somebody else in some social media post. They don't know what they're talking about. So literally, I will go and look at my code of ethics or the law. And even though it's annoying to look at, I will look at it and read it and see, like, do I understand this? And I will send it to my liability provider in an email and say, this is what I'm reading. This is how I'm interpreting it. This is what I want to do. Is that cool? This is a lawyer. They're there to support me, unlike your board, who is there to protect clients. So also they're not lawyers, so they don't always know what they're talking about. So that's the big piece, is it's all freaking figure outable. Don't let anybody, break your shine. You can do it. And then in terms of making sure that the audience understands that, hello, this isn't therapy, like not therapy. Unlike other course creators where you don't really have to have a contract per se, lots of them don't. I think in this space, I would have like, when you buy, you sign this thing and it says like, hi, this isn't therapy. Here is the difference. And PS, by the way, even though you're not their therapist, if somehow they end up telling you about the fact that they're abusing an elderly person or a person with a disability, you still have to report them. So you do need to make sure that that's clear. So I would get clear in my own head, not rely on Facebook group people, consult with somebody in the space, like me or Tamara or a friend of mine, Matt Zimmerman's really good at these consults. And then let's just make it really freaking clear in your sales page, in your emails, in a contract that they sign when they join the course. And I would even have a like, this is for you if statement, and this is not for you if statement, and use that to also clarify what we can do here versus what can be done in therapy. It's a little tighter for us than even like some creator who doesn't have a license. Like they can do a lot of things that we can't do because we have the license, which is a little bit annoying. Tamara?
Yeah, agree. I think just clarity, being really clear, being really clear within ourselves. So, I have a friend who started a group recently and they were like, is this a therapy group or a support group? And they were saying, well, if I take people from different countries or different states, then it can't be a therapy group because I'm only licensed in this place. And so then they were like, okay, so it's a support group. And I'm like, well, how are you going to differentiate? How is your contract different? What are you offering that is different? Because if you're telling me, and then we're going to go deeper into this, then that's where it starts to feel a little bit murky. So how are you going to, like, what practical ways are you going to differentiate? So I love the use of this is for you if, this is not for you if. There are lots of ways of like phrasing that, but just somewhere on a page stating like, you need to be at this stage of the journey for this to be useful for you.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then I can help you find something else, but this isn't going to be the best way for you to get help.
Yeah. And even having them in therapy along with the offer too is an option, like not that they're required, but you could have a list of providers who, let's say you're doing some sort of trauma offering and you also do trauma therapy, but you're not in all these other states where your I'm going to call them customers are coming from, but you could have a list of therapists that you're like, these folks do great work. They could be working with you alongside of the course for the things that we can't do because this is not a therapy intervention. Yeah, we can work through all the details, can be worked through no matter what some people will say. Okay. I think we answered this one, resources for building a course with low budget, and that is called Google Docs. And that is where my course still lives. All right, this is from Lori Husband. I'm thinking of offering a membership community and wondering about the pros and cons. You go ahead, go ahead.
What was my favorite? Pros and cons of the different delivery methods.
Me too.
Okay.
I
The
gotta
way that
turn
we
on my
choo-
AC. I'll be right back.
Okay. The way that we choose. What do you mean? Is it hot there? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
What?
It's like 85 degrees out and it's hot in the house too.
I don't understand our planet. Anyway, okay. The way that we decide our delivery method, I think we don't think enough about like what suits you. So the pro of a membership is that you get to serve the same people and you build a relationship and you build a community and you get to serve people, and that's really wonderful. Another pro, if you happen to really like doing this, is you get to create content on a super regular, frequent basis. So that's going to be a con for someone like me. I'm not able to do that. I can't create on demand, right? But if you are a person who can block out your Mondays and you can record something or you can host something or you can do whatever it is, then that is going to work for you. So you've got to figure out whether that suits your lifestyle. Can you dedicate? You can batch create, you can do it any way you like, but can that fit into your life? So the challenge of memberships is that they have a very high churn rate. And so you need to be bringing in about 3 times as many people during the year as you want in the membership at any one time. So if you want 100 members in your membership at any one time during your launches, however many you do, or if you have an always open membership, you need to be aiming to bring in about 300 during the year because churn rates are high at the moment.
Can you define churn rates for people who don't know?
So that just means people who cancel. So like 10 people might join me in this launch, but 3 of them are going to leave before the next launch. And so I need to replace those people, but there's another 6 people who are going to leave next time. And so I need to replace those people as well. If I want a certain size of membership, there are lots and lots of benefits. So Jenny Hughes has a membership called Brave, and she's one of the sponsors of the bundle and has an offer in there as well. But I would study her membership because when I first met her a few years ago in the first bundle, she had like 20 something members. Now she's got 70 something members, which is fantastic. But she's also changed the structure and the pricing of her membership. And memberships are really, really interesting. I have loads to say on this, but they're very interesting from a strategic point of view. Most people use memberships to lead to their main profitable offer. Many people I have looked at, I have studied, are not making the bulk of their income from a membership. They're using the membership to sell a higher ticket offer or to have a more profitable offer. Some people do that in 2 memberships. They have tiers. So they might have like an entry, like a $9 membership and then a $35 membership and then $150, something like that. Some people do that. It's a bit more complicated. And yeah, so those are my thoughts. I mean, mainly I think it's about your lifestyle and whether you like constant creation. And also whether you like launching, because you've got to basically either have an always open membership, which means you have to promote constantly, or you have to do several launches and kind of reproduce them. Okay, those are my initial thoughts. How about you?
Yeah. Well, heads up, even though Tamara doesn't like the idea of doing a membership, she's actually gonna be doing a membership with me. Ish. We're calling it Ish. It's a 6-month container.
Okay, so I would call that a subscription as opposed to a membership, but yes.
Could you say more? I'll follow up about that in a second. Can you say the difference between subscription and membership? Because our very next question is about subscriptions.
So I host coaching groups, and they all begin and end, and they're all 6 months or a year. I used to do them 3 months, but it's not enough. You can't do anything in 3 months. So 6 months or a year, really, I think we need a year, but most people only feel able to commit to 6 months, right? So often what happens is people do 6 months with me and then they do another 6 months, but they have a beginning and an end. And I like that because of the way that I design my life, because of how my life revolves around a dog, 2 cats, a kid, and other human beings, right? And they have school years and they have jobs and they have everything. And so I need the ending in order to plan the next cycle. However, a membership just keeps going. So a membership is a thing that you have to cancel, and a subscription is a thing that is a regular payment, but there is a finite, there is an end, there is kind of an end in sight, if you see what I mean. Doesn't mean you can't renew it. Most people who've, you know, like in my original pod, which is going into its 4th year, most people are still the same. I've only lost like 1 or 2 people and replaced them. So subscriptions can renew, but it's more about like the structure of the payments. Does that make sense?
Totally, totally. And that was helpful for me because I really didn't understand the difference between the two. So that's helpful to think about.
Much lower churn on a subscription. I very rarely lose people from a group because the group, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
You do a group, the group, it forms, they love each other, it becomes its own thing. Memberships, people are coming and going often.
Got it.
And so, and there's much more autonomy. So you don't think about this, but like your web hosting is a membership. Your license is a membership.
Mm.
You know, like these are either annual or they're monthly payments that we make. Those are memberships. We think membership means community, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a really great difference. And I would say that of the two right now, subscriptions, because of how you just defined it, are selling better than memberships because
completely.
Everybody's tightening their belts right now. So they're looking at their bank statements for reoccurring payments and they're trying to get rid of them. So people are more comfortable, and we'll probably do this with our subscription also, saying like, you know, yes, it's 6 months. You can pay monthly, but you'll get a discount for paying all up front or something like that, because many people would prefer to have a one-time payment than to be like, oh, this is a never ending thing on my credit card. And I'm like that right now too. I'm like cutting all sorts of recurring payments, but if I paid for it all at once, then I'm continuing to work with it. All right, let's see. Oh, so what we're going to be creating is online income for therapists outside of therapy. That's going to be our subscription that I was calling a membership.
I mean, it's kind of a membership. We've been talking about it for years. We've got a whole like 150-page Google Doc filled with all the content and everything. We've been talking about it for years, and you know, at some point it'll be born, I think.
You know how we were saying earlier about pre-sell, don't spend a whole lot of time like thinking about it, but what we actually did was spend a whole lot of time building it out. It's literally a 150-page Google Doc. Yeah,
like 2 years we've been building out that idea and not sold it.
Yeah, do what we say, not what we do.
Because it's fun. Because it's fun.
So
So do that
freaking
part of it. Do the part that you find fun. That's what we find fun, right?
Really, like the whole point of a side hustle is to have more freedom. So why do something in the side hustle realm that you aren't going to have fun doing? It is true that there are times where you're going to cry on your desk because something's not working, right? That's going to happen. But most of the time, I'm freaking stoked to be doing what I'm doing. Like, I love it. And I didn't think first of all, I knew nothing about business before building this. And I knew zip about marketing. Zero, which is why I love to market by helping people, because then there's a lot less that you have to learn.
Yeah. Someone just asked us, what is your subscription called? Wendy just asked us, what's your subscription called and who's it for? So we're not pitching anything, but just for the hilariousness of this, we called it Amber Mara.
We couldn't think of a name.
Because we couldn't think of a name. But our friend Maggie called it, no, was it Maggie who said it? Or was it you? Talamabam. It was Maggie, wasn't it? Maggie calls it Talamabam.
Because I didn't like being first. And I was like, this doesn't work. I don't want to be first. And Talamabam So we don't know what the hell it's called. If
And
you've
we
got
don't-
ideas, let us know.
And honestly, we don't know what the offer is, because basically at first it was going to be a high ticket offer for a closed, like 10 people. And then it was going to be like $100 monthly offer for 50 people or 100 people. And then it was, so we don't know. We haven't got anything to pitch because we don't know. We had too many ideas. We're a terrible example.
Well, I think that ultimately what we're going to end up doing, and don't hold me to this, is the lower ticket, 100-ish, 200-ish, 300-ish, somewhere in there,
Yes.
6-month kind of thing, where we get on 2 calls a month and help you kick ass in making a side hustle that you love.
Yeah.
We'll consult our 150-page Google Doc. All right. This question from Ashley. I had a membership until about 6 months ago. Oh, wait, I don't know if I'm allowed to read this out loud. Ashley, are you here right now? Because I know you voxed me, but I
am.
do not have
Yes, you can read it out loud. I have a fussy baby, so I'm listening.
Okay,
but I'm here.
I was like, I know she voxed me, but I haven't listened to that yet.
Yay. Okay.
I had a membership until 6 months ago when I had to close it due to postpartum depression. I feel like community is what my audience needs. It's what everybody freaking needs right now. But I don't know that I have the mental and physical space to have to create monthly for a membership. So trying to find another way to create and monetize community, or completely pivot and meet a different need in my audience. Yeah, that's a great thing. So when it's around community, Tamara's going to be better at this because she's better at community than I am. I think a lot about education, like that's the easy in for me. And if I was thinking education and a membership, I would be like, cool, I can bring in guest speakers who, like, you know, I approve of their vibe and we share values, and I know that my audience will like them and like their values and what they're teaching. What do you think when it's mostly community oriented and support?
Community changed a lot the last few years, you know, community's changed, and it really kind of depends who you want to serve. Like we both look after therapists, and that is challenging for special reasons, very special reasons, right?
I can give some more context to this real quick,
please.
if that would be helpful. I
Yeah,
look
yeah.
horrendous right now, so I'm not going to come on camera, but
I'm sure you look amazing. And also I'm literally wearing my pajamas, but yes, of course.
So I had a membership called Village, which is a place for women and mom clinicians to network and to grow their online practices. And I got, like, it was about being able to connect as women, as moms, and as clinicians. And anytime somebody found it, they were like, this is amazing, this is what I need. But similar to what you were describing in describing the like membership versus subscription, I had like those few people that would be highly engaged, and then others that like never did anything with it. And we would do like a monthly networking call. I had a guest come in monthly, so I wasn't always having to do the teaching. There was like a monthly group coaching call, and then there was something else. I can't even remember what it was. And so really I was only having to show up as myself like one time a month. But like I said, just between having 3 children now and like another military move that just happened, and postpartum depression, and like a neurodivergent child, like just a lot of stuff, I'm realizing like for me, having to show up in some kind of consistent way is really, really challenging right now. So like being able to be like every month at this date and this time I'm there is really, really hard. And so I'm like, maybe it is better to just like create course or product or training and like offer almost in like a shop type thing, because I can create all my own needs. I'm just trying to figure out, because women and mom clinicians is my that is my my audience. And
that's who you want to serve. That's who you want to still serve. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do have an idea for you. And the idea is kind of based on what you just said and what I was thinking at the beginning, which is that I think that women, people in your position and the people that you want to serve might need asynchronous community. And the people that you're serving will have exactly the same issue that you have, which is, and the same issue that I have as well, which is I actually find it very hard to commit to a specific date and time all the time, right? And that's why I've only got 2 coaching groups, maybe 3 next year, is because I actually can't guarantee. My kid gets sick every 3 weeks, you know, I get sick every 3 weeks in the winter. I'm absolutely useless, you know, December to January, basically. So it's very, very hard for us to commit. So is there a room? Okay, so there's kind of 2 things. Do you want to serve community? Like, does it have to be your community? Like, would you consider being like a community manager or project manager for another community? That's my first question, because there are plenty of places the way you could feature and you know,
facilitate.
Exactly, but not necessarily hold all the responsibility or the stress. And then the second thing is, if you really want it to be yours, is there a possibility for you to do that in an asynchronous way? So for example, like with TheraBundle and TheraSummit, we've got 600 people in Heartbeat. I don't know what to do now. I don't know how to help them. I don't know how to serve them, but there's 600 of them waiting, you know, for something. So is there a possibility of you doing that in an asynchronous way? If we were talking 4 years ago, I'd be like Facebook group, right? But that's, it's very, very, you can't really monetize that. So I don't know. I mean, those are my first thoughts. So like, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for your audience.
Right. And that's a really good point, like which I hadn't thought about. And like, and I think that's where like, and Amber, you can listen to my message later. I go in a little bit more detail there, but like, I think where I'm at is like, again, trying to figure out like what to do with all these pieces. Cause I had a Facebook group that, again, I had kind of paused and stopped. And then I had my community, which I had, or my membership, which I shut down in May. And I do have like a couple courses still. And I want to have my podcast is the one thing that has like continued through this all, and I love it. And I wish there was a way that I could like monetize it more, or like
you can
like I just have not figured out like how to grow it the way that I want to or need to get that as profitable as I would want.
100%. I mean, I'm just gonna say like, and I don't have a podcast, and so I don't have the answers to that, but perhaps if you love doing that and that's a thing that you can do, then maybe that's how you build your community. Like maybe you do something to do, I don't know, maybe you have a Patreon, or maybe you have, do you know what I mean? Like maybe there's something around that, or maybe finding someone who has monetized their podcast and got sponsorships and things like that. Like maybe sponsorship is the way, you know, to do it. Like that would be a cool podcast to be a sponsor of for group practices, or do you know what I mean? Like there's so many places that you could approach for sponsorship. So finding guidance about that, but also like your course in the bundle, for people who don't know, Ashley is a contributor in the bundle. Your course in the bundle is excellent. So I think that if you use your courses to lead to whatever else you're doing, that's going to be, you know, I think that's a great way of doing that. Sorry, Amber, I've sort of monopolized that.
Sorry, I'm gonna mute. I have a crying kid walking in. I'm still listening, but there's
and we're
a lot
recording
happening. I'm still listening.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, especially because you already have the podcast, I would probably double down on some free YouTube videos about like, how do I monetize the crap out of this podcast? How do I get the audience growth and engagement that I need to get sponsors first? And then can I use my podcast as the way I walk people into my higher ticket course or asynchronous membership, subscription, whatever? If I'm in your shoes, I want, like, if I'm a consumer of your stuff, I want asynchronous communication all the way. And something that I do in my group with the Marketing Intensive is I have a broadcast channel where I'm the only person that speaks. If I had set it up correctly, I'd be the only person who could speak. But because I didn't, then I have to remind people not to speak back. Sorry, guys. So you can set it up as a broadcast and send out loving little messages, you know, asynchronously. That could be super helpful. And even like if you had the membership content available, you could be reminding people like, hey, I had this thought this morning that could be supportive of you. And remember that the content in the course this week, or, you know, whatever in the membership on this may be really helpful right now. So you can send the message on blast to everybody. And then if you wanted to do like asynchronous coaching for these moms, you could also do that through Voxer. It could be group. I don't actually like group coaching on Voxer because it blows up and it takes way too long to get through it. I prefer one-on-one. But that might also be cool because you could do it in between kids stuff, you know, like on the toilet or whatever it needs to be. But there are definitely ways. You've already created so much that we can take the audience you have and get offers to them. And I'll definitely listen to your Voxer as well.
Real quick, other than Voxer, what are other like asynchronous like ways that you could see doing that?
You could do it on Heartbeat, you could do it on Telegram, you could do it on Discord, you could do it on Voxer,
Signal.
You could do it on Signal, you could do it on WhatsApp, you could have WhatsApp groups. So you could have community, you could do, you know, you could consider like anything like Substack or Patreon. You can create little communities. But anything where people can like say something and then you get back to them in your own time.
Okay.
Basically is what I mean by asynchronous support.
Yeah.
And so instead of showing up at a specific time and day, just being like, and I will respond to everything within 48 hours, you know? Yeah. Instead of that. And you could still book guests, you could still do things like that. Just remember that all the work that you've done beforehand, everything you created beforehand, even if you've closed it, even if it's ended, it has just concluded that part of the journey.
Yeah.
Like none of that, you know, this goes for Margot creating things, you know, before as well. Like whatever we have created, I have had to chuck out so much stuff. We can't be precious about that. We just have to be like, and now that relationship is concluded and we're moving into the new phase of our life, you know?
I'm so glad that you said that, because something that I hear from a lot of people who, you know, they haven't had the time yet to watch 3 years worth of free YouTube trainings. And so they've created a single thing. And then they're like, oh, you know, or maybe they've created 3 things and it's time for them to like level it up. But they're still thinking about, well, how could I reuse or repurpose or blah, 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 this? And I totally get that. Like, you know, but we should always be listening to where is our audience right now and what do they need right now? And create that thing, do that thing, rather than like, let me see if I can like get this square thing to fit into this round hole. It's just more work than it's worth. But you have the most valuable thing possible. You have an audience already. So for sure, we can figure out how to monetize it even more. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. Can you talk about how to tackle creating a subscription platform for distributing content to paid subscribers? Okay, let me read that again. Can you talk about how to tackle creating a subscription platform? Okay, I got it. For distributing content to paid subscribers, building an audience, and creating content. I want to say something about this. And I'm wanting to make money beyond the hourly pay of a session, for real. Okay, so remember how we talked earlier about lead generation is different than nurturing, and how like we can generate leads. It has to be open. Like we can generate leads on YouTube or Facebook. It has to be somewhere where people already exist, because they're not running around in Heartbeat looking for a community. That's not how it works. The lead generation has to come from something that already exists and they are already there. But the second piece here is it is freaking hard to get people to follow you off of wherever they already are to go somewhere else. And the fact that Tamara has 600 people in Heartbeat is nobody can do that. Nobody does that. I don't know how she did it. Me neither. You're freaking brilliant. Built an entire ecosystem from scratch because we kept whining about not wanting to be on Facebook. And they're like, okay, And it was better for them for us not to be on Facebook too. They built this whole thing over the course of the year, dumped tons of money in it. Do we go there? I'm ashamed to say we do not go there. Like, we don't have community there. If they release a new podcast, I'll go in there to listen to it. Or if I have a question, I'll go in there to ask it. But I don't hang out there the way that I hang out on YouTube or Facebook. So all of that to say, like, really think hard before you build on a closed platform, because it's freaking hard to get people to show up there. Worth it if you can, but it's hard. Okay, I'm going to Tamara.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, for email marketing, use something free like MailerLite. If you're going to do a course, use something with a free tier like Thinkific. If you're going to it depends what the content is that you want to deliver. If you want to send a blog, put it on your website, put it on Substack, put it on somewhere where it's going to get discovered organically without having to pay people to go to your website. If you're delivering, so that's written content, if you're delivering a video, put it on YouTube and send the link out to people on your mailing list every week.
And you can set it on YouTube so that nobody can see it, but the people you give the link to. So if you're trying to keep it like private just for paid subscribers, you can do that even on YouTube. Yeah, totally. If you want to spend endless hours building your own website, you can do it like I do it and put it inside your website, and then remember to update the plugins from time to time. You can do it. There's so many ways of doing it, but the method of delivery is like the last stage. Like, first it's figuring out, is the audience, and then it's like what the offer is, and eventually it's like, what's the most convenient way of delivering this information. People just want it to be easy. They just want it to be easy. They don't want it to be fancy. No, they don't give a shit about it being fancy. Mm-hmm. They don't care. And honestly, I think so many of us have been taken advantage of by beautiful salesy stuff that we really are very careful about buying that. Whereas when you're real and genuine, people will buy even if it's not fancy pants. I would genuinely have a Google Doc with links to my YouTube content, and the YouTube content is hidden except by those who have the link. And I would literally go in and drop a new link each week or month, however quickly you're delivering the content, and email them and be like, new content's up in the doc, like, here you go. And if you want to build community outside of that, we can think about where they can go for that too. It's annoying, but I would still, in a lot of cases, use Facebook groups to build community, even though it's annoying. Okay, ready for the next one? How to determine pricing for courses or various offers. This is from Tamara. You consult the Amber Globe, and I give you a price. I don't know why, but I'm joking, but I do have good instincts when it comes to pricing. I don't know why. When we're thinking about pricing, always think about the biggest lesson I wish everybody knew. What is the transformation that you are delivering through the thing? Price it based on that. Unlike therapy, where we're pricing based on, like our years of education and the hours that we're in session, you have to price based on the transformation. So some people will be like, I've got 76 modules and, 40 videos. And so I'm going to charge $2,000. Nobody's paying for that. But if you tell me that I can get out from under my mortgage finally, pay off my student loans, and like actually pick a partner that's going to be good to me, how much do you want? Like, I don't care if it's a single module. How much do you want? So it's going to depend on that. I bet you Tamara knows some actual like specific information about this. I have loads of theories about this. The first thing that I would say is that we have to do our own money healing. We have to do our own kind of work around money, especially to do with private practice and our fee, but then also in relation to this business. So like what a lot of us will do is we'll do some work around our fee setting and marketing and things like that. And then we build a second business and we're like, here, have everything I know for $20, we've done all this work to get our fee up over 100, and then we're like, here, just take everything. And it is hard getting that balance of like,
because what we're saying is like serve for free, serve for free, serve for free. But what we're really saying is your private practice should be paying for your time that you're working, serving to build your other business, right? And so I do have kind of a formula when I have an offer, which is based on, first of all, I just want to say that I haven't said this before, but there are quite a few offers in the bundle that are related to money and fee setting and things like that. And I just want to say Des Valdez, who's here, has a course in the bundle about money healing, which is super, super interesting. And I kind of think is the basis for all our pricing and fee setting and things like that. So I don't know if you want to add something, Des, in the chat about that. But I think that once we kind of understand our money story, are we undercharging? Are we like overcompensating? That's my thing. I'm always overcompensating. I'm always like over tipping, and when the service is terrible, and stuff like that. So I do have a formula. I track my hours. I don't do it as religiously as I used to do it, but I track my hours on a given project, and I track my expenses, and I have like a profit plan for my year. And so then I plan in advance what I'm hoping to earn from a particular offer, and how many hours it will take me to launch it, and how many people I'm hoping to serve. And as a result of that, I make decisions on like how much time I'm going to put into something, and how much money I think I'm going to make from it, and things like that. And as a result of that, I'll make a decision about the fee. So I don't do that all the time. Sometimes I just go, I think maybe like 100. Sometimes I just go like that. And that's usually when I haven't done the research, and I haven't got the feedback, and I haven't planned in advance. I just kind of pluck a number out of the air. And I don't have the luck that Amber has with pricing things appropriately. And so I have found that I really have to do all of those sums to figure it out. But I have mainly found that the tracking of my time is the most useful in that respect.
Okay.
So knowing how much time has gone into it. Yeah.
Okay. So for example, I just posted a specialty that I do, which is like how metabolic health impacts mental health. And it kind of blew up, and like 4 or 5 practitioners were like, whoa, that's so interesting. I love that. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Like I just didn't expect that. This is knowledge I've been building for over 10 years, right? Because of my personal story, when I've been through and reading and research. So that now I'm like, okay, great. I'll do a webinar on that.
Yeah.
Like how would I price that? I'm like really struggling. Like I want it to be accessible to people, but this is like also knowledge that I've accumulated over a long time. So like something like that, like yeah, I like your theory. I'm just kind of, I don't know, just this seems right. Or is there like a specific way to go about that?
So for that, I would lean into Amber's perspective. What are they going to get at the end of it, and how are they going to be able to use it? How long is it? Is it 3 hours like this, or is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? In the UK, we went through this phase during the pandemic of doing webinars and workshops for like £20 an hour. So if I did a 2-hour workshop, it would be like £40, right? If I did like a 5-hour day workshop, it would be £100. Is that sustainable? No, it's not. That's just what the theme was at the time. Can you sell webinars for 150 or 200? Absolutely, you can. You could sell it as a boot camp. You can sell it at any price. You just have to have the audience who's willing to pay for that, and who understands the transition, the transformation that they're going to have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hey, Atara, just a quick follow-up question. Do you already have an email list and an audience?
No. And
Okay.
that's where I'm growing first. And I just kind of threw this out here. And then I was like, oh, okay, look at, there's like this whole organic thing happening. Yeah.
So then what I would do in that case,
yeah,
I would make a landing page.
Okay.
I'd make a landing page to get their email.
Got it.
I would say for the low price of $10. And the only reason I'm saying $10, not because you're trying to make a profit off $10, but because people show up more when they've put a little bit of money in. So I would be thinking about this as my freaking list builder. And I would do a 45-minute webinar as a list builder, record that shit. And I would actually, when you're doing it, I would have it set up so that you're recording with your face as the center, as opposed to like the whole gallery view, because then you can also then sell that replay, you know, for cheap. It doesn't have to be a lot because we want to build the audience. So that's also part of the marketing, right? Like, so think about this. This is 3 hours of free coaching, right? I charge $500 an hour for coaching. Why are we doing it free? One, because we have no self-control and we got excited. Two, because that's the primary reason. Two, because we're trying to motivate ourselves to hurry up and get this damn offer together. So the more we're engaging with you guys, the more excited we get. So we're getting paid in motivation and excitement. Three, we're showing our expertise, which is going to make people trust us enough to buy something from us later on. So we're getting paid in a lot of ways that aren't straight up money. Also, it was easier than charging. Like there are a lot of parts, and it's free marketing for us. So
yes, because I'm already seeing that go into like a Heal the Healers course, right?
Right.
I love it. Okay, thank you.
Totally. And I think that's such a great example of like, so when people are asking you for something, I think that's the best time to ask for feedback. Yes, come to my webinar, come to my workshop. I'm going to do it for free. Afterwards, hey, thank you so much for coming to my workshop. I would so love some feedback on it because I'm building something, and I would really, hey, could I have 20 minutes of your time and we can chat about it and see if I can help you any further, you know?
Perfect.
So it would be like, then you basically could get a testimonial. You could get information on how to build your product. So much stuff. You can use the recording in a webinar funnel. So there's so many things that you can get from that.
Love it. Thank you.
In the starting space, you guys, we make things so freaking complicated. The starting space was simply, she mentioned something very specific that she's good at. And people were like, wait, I need that. P.S. I need that. So when you do make the landing page, let me know.
Yeah. Tell me too.
Really specific though. It wasn't like, I help people live better. I don't know what that means. She said something super, super, super specific. And then we're all like, wait, can I learn more about that?
Yeah.
And now she's going to do something for free. She's going to get our email addresses, or cheap, free or cheap, whatever. She's going to get our email addresses. And then she's going to keep sharing some lovely little information with us once a month, once a quarter, once a week. We don't care. And then eventually she's going to pitch us on something. And we're going to be like, heck yeah, because you've earned our know, like, and trust. Yeah, let me in. You're winning. This gets me excited. Okay. The next question is, I have a Facebook group about addiction, which is one of the areas I practice in. The page isn't sponsored or funded. Holy cow. And has over 75,000 followers with a lot of interaction.
It is Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had to leave, but yes.
Okay. It is mildly monetized under Facebook's bonus scheme, though it's unreliable and income is nowhere where it might be. So how the heck do I monetize this?
Sponsorship.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Sponsorship, I think, is probably the only way.
Yeah.
At this stage, because it's a page. It's not, I think it's not a group. I think it's a page. Yeah.
Does she want to build
from
like
memory,
courses,
from memory.
membership?
I'm just having a look.
Do you know if she wants to build a product?
I don't. I think from memory, she really likes private practice and sort of does it on the side.
Okay.
But I'm just, I could be extrapolating that. So I just wanted to have a quick look and see if I could just have a little sneaky stalk on Facebook.
Nobody has Facebook pages with 75,000 people.
Yeah.
She has a freaking gold mine on her hands. Holy cow. Holy cow. Dude, I'd be having a podcast. We could pay so much money. So something, I'm going to just not record this next part. So please remind me to re-record it. So I'm going to pause the recording.
Just can't remember the name.
That's why we build an audience. Audiences are profitable.
Can't remember the name of the page. Does anyone know Jackie's page?
All right. Well, at any rate, so the way that I would approach this is there are infographics in Canva that you can get to create like a little sponsor profile. And when you have an audience, it's called addiction. Actually,
I thought you had to leave. Welcome.
It's a little graphic and it can show you like, this is how many people in my audience, this is what engagement looks like, so that you can give this out to potential sponsors. So I would be looking at, I mean, I would prefer not to be doing like specific clinics. I would rather be getting in front of people who have a product that I know would serve the majority of the people in the group. And we would have to think about what that is. You could even be an affiliate for other people selling courses that are related to addiction. I mean, holy cow. So I would say affiliate and sponsorships is where it's freaking at. Holy.
This is like, it's very active. It's very busy. This is like a very unusual thing for Facebook because Facebook doesn't favor pages usually. But this is kind of an anomaly of, and you know, this is kind of specific to the addiction community, is that there is a lot of community in the recovery communities, I should say. But I think, I mean, this is really active. We're getting like, you know, multiple posts a day. There's like 40, 50 likes, 20 likes, 24 shares, you know, comment, not so many comments, but I don't think that matters necessarily. Artwork, articles, quotes. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a bit tricky because I suppose it depends. In sponsorship, you've really got to kind of have some guidelines for yourself to maintain the integrity of the page. And so I don't know if you would want to go down the sponsorship of, you know, getting the sponsorship from treatment centers, for example.
You might have no way to vet.
Yeah, you might want to approach something like meditation apps, or what else could you know, something where there's like a sort of helpful, it's helpful, but it's not, it doesn't feel biased to the audience. I think that's kind of what I would do is I'd start looking at that kind of sort of events. So it could be like community events. You could seek sponsorship for that sort of thing. So kind of conferences or community kind of things like that. So yeah.
There's somebody who teaches how to get sponsors. And I don't know their name, but Kim Tolson does. She took a course from them. So it's KYM Kim Tolson. I would message her and get the name of that course, because honestly, with a following as large as 54,000 for one of you and 75,000 for another, I would actually drop money on figuring out how can I monetize this intelligently and learn from somebody who has made this their career, and then apply your ethics. It might be Stu McLaren. Apply your ethics to that. So even the way you price it, you know, pricing is really tricky. So learning from somebody who knows how to do that. And Kim is actually incredibly good at this. I would pay for a consult with her. But you have a gold mine here. And people, you don't want to screw it up by putting weird stuff in front of them. But man, I am very excited for you. I know that had to take a lot of work to build, and you have a lot of money on your hands.
What I would say is I don't know that I would necessarily try to turn that into courses or a paid community or something like that. I would really focus on like, how can I keep it as it is, but monetize that more? Because what you're doing works. That's what I would. So like, I think lots of people, like I know someone who had a massive Facebook group, super niche, and they just spent all their time talking about like how they were going to turn it into a paid community, and then they lost loads of members because people didn't want to pay for it. They wanted it as it was. It's not that they didn't want to pay for stuff, they just didn't want to pay for the thing that had been free. So I think like it obviously works really well. Stu McLaren teaches memberships. I've never seen Stu McLaren teach about sponsorship. That isn't to say that he doesn't, but he's a very particular vibe. So make sure you like the vibe of the person that you study with.
Yeah. Is there a reason that, because I'm not in the addictions community, so I don't know these things, but is there a reason you wouldn't think about becoming an affiliate for someone who teaches some sort of addictions course or something like that? That doesn't become the whole vibe of the Facebook page. You would keep doing what you're doing, but maybe once or twice a year, you would be pitching into this program and you have a face that says, no way, Jose.
Well, I think for this isn't really for therapy. I mean, there are therapists on the page because I can see that lots of my friends follow it, but it's not just for therapists, right? This particular page.
Can I, hi everyone, can I just come in?
Yeah, of course.
I started it years ago just as a resource for myself to collate anything helpful on addiction. And it kind of snowballed from nothing. It's been going for 13 years. I preload it now and then with 3 to 5 posts a day. It's currently got a bit of a restriction on because, which it does from time to time, Facebook, the bots or you know, they scrutinized it and said I was promoting drugs, and I've had to appeal against that and say no, it's the opposite. So it doesn't have as many shares or comments as it usually would. But I just want to be a therapist. I want to learn about monetizing and doing workshops and all the things that we've talked about. But this is just sitting there ticking over with 78,000 followers and increasing, even with a restriction on it. And I know I could do something with it. I just haven't known what until, you know, so this forum is great for me on many levels.
I think I would really concentrate and lean into that kind of that idea of sponsorship and what do you want to support? What do you find helpful for your clients? What is the kind of a business that you think, I'm in my integrity as I'm promoting this, and I would like more people to know about it. And then I would approach those businesses and say, you know, I really believe in this particular approach or this particular product, and I would love for you to come and, you know, promote on my page. I've got a massive page. And what I would do is I would create a sort of a media pack. So just a 1-page Canva document that just says like when it started, what the growth, do a little graph of the growth, say how many people are on there this year compared with last year, see if you can get some stats from the Facebook page that says like how many comments, how many shares, that kind of thing. Do a couple of screenshots of the really popular posts that you've had, and then you could pitch people for sponsorship and give them that like little media pack with a little bit about you and why you started it and stuff. So that's what I would do.
This is what a media pack looks like.
All right, okay.
You can grab one probably on Creative Market, and then you just fill it. And then you can create packages of, you know, what you would do. I stole this one from Kim Tolson, and
me too. I've got one from her too.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's probably some blank ones in Canva as well. But oh goodness, boy, what a gold mine.
Thank you. I don't, you know, as Tamara and you know, yourself, Amber, have mentioned, I don't want to essentially change the nature of it. I know Facebook is old hat and not many people use it now, but I do sense that this is a bit of a business gold mine. I have had a few offers in people direct messaging offers of people who wanted to take it off my hands and so forth, which I ignored.
Never sell it.
Yeah. So but no, this is so helpful. And it's based on, there are lots of groups that post recovery memes and sobriety dates and 12-step groups. And I have nothing against those at all, but this is based on neuroscience and coping strategies, and it's got some albums on emotional sobriety and what the terminology is very factual, quite scientific. So I suppose it's slightly different to some others anyway. And the following has surprised me, because I want to get on with being a therapist, and it's like, oh, I didn't really expect this, So it would be great to. Facebook do pay a bonus. It has become eligible for Facebook's bonus scheme, but that went from $400 a month initially to about, I don't know about the powers that be behind the Facebook bonus scheme, but it seems to trickle away once they've got you in, and it's just too much like hard work playing their game. So I might play my own game.
I love it. I would
Good
also
idea.
really strongly suggest, Jack, that you get these people onto an email list.
Yeah. Okay.
What I might do is create, I might just literally ask them for their email, and I might say, hey guys, there's no telling I've had multiple people, myself included, lose their Facebook page, lose everything overnight. And these folks are getting a lot of value from being there. I might ask, listen, if you want to make sure that you're not missing any really cool stuff that's happening in the group, once a week or once a month, your pick, I will pull you can see on the back end which posts got most engagement or were most helpful. Yeah. You can say, listen, I will pull those posts up for you and send them to you in a digest so that you don't miss anything, because I know you're not seeing everything in Facebook, or give them a freebie or something. But any day, Facebook could get rid of that page. Yeah. And it happens all the time. And I don't want you to lose all that traffic.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
All right.
Brilliant.
Yay. Okay. So Michelle says, you talked about being approached to be an affiliate. For those of us who have products, do you have a process that you would suggest for reaching out to people like you who have an audience? Are there do's and don'ts? Yeah, there are a lot. Tamara, do you have something off the top of your head? Do you want to go first?
I've got a lot of don'ts.
I'm going to just check on Taco, my dog, real quick, because he's whining while you start.
I think it's really interesting. When we pitch, we have to think about how our product or service can serve the audience of the person we're pitching, and make the pitch very specific, and basically say how it will help their audience and help them build their relationship with their audience. Because most people won't agree to be an affiliate just because of the money. It has to also serve their audience, because otherwise it damages credibility and it will cost them money. So no matter, so for example, I know somebody who was an affiliate for somebody else's program, and they made 6 figures as an affiliate, and then lots of people weren't happy with that program. And so that damaged the relationship, not only with the people who and the program that they bought, but also the affiliate. And that cost more money, I think, probably in the long run. I mean, maybe not, because it was a lot of money, but what we don't want, we definitely don't want to cost people followers. Every time somebody promotes to an audience, every time I send an email, I lose subscribers. I build relationship, but I lose subscribers. So every time you send an email out, don't look at your unsubscribe numbers. It's very disheartening at the beginning. But every time you email, someone will unsubscribe. It isn't an insult. It's not personal most of the time. Sometimes it is. But most of the time, it's just because people are busy, or they've forgotten how they know you, or, they don't want so many emails, or they're not doing that job anymore, or whatever. But we have to think about that when we pitch people as an affiliate. So I made a lot of subscribers by pitching a very big group, a very big, I don't know what to even call them, an organization, a partnership of people. And I pitched them and I said, no, they came and asked me for advice about something that they were creating, and I gave them lots of free advice. And then they asked if I'd like to be a bit involved, and then I pitched them to share my course, Learn to Love Online Therapy. I pitched them because I had no idea how email marketing worked, and I didn't know that that was a big ask. And people ask me all the time if I will promote stuff to my list, and I very, very rarely do. Whether I'm making money out of it or not, I very, very rarely do, because it costs me subscribers. So I've got a friend who's just written a book and has created a course, and I'm sure it's excellent, and he's an absolute genius, but he's always just saying, will you promote me to your audience? And there has to be something in it for my audience or for me. They're not following me for his content or for him, and so there would have to be some sort of payoff for them. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that the high ticket course that he's selling, I know that the people who are on my list, it's very, I mean, the highest ticket thing I've ever sold is like £1,200, right? And I've only done that a couple of times. Please stop doing that. Please stop. Sorry, that's my dog. And so I know that they're very unlikely to buy from him a higher ticket thing than they would buy from me. So we have to pitch people that, when I say it's going to serve them, I don't just mean the content's going to serve them, like they are prepared to spend the kind of money for whatever that, do you know what I mean? People might be interested in my friend's content, but they're never going to spend £2,000 on a course. I know that because they've never spent £2,000 on a course with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it has to fit. I also think I think it makes sense to like know as much as you can about the person that you're pitching, and have, you don't have to, but I think it helps if you have a similar size audience, or offer some sort of there's some sort of reciprocation, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's lots of don'ts. I didn't really say them, but you could probably hear them in what I was saying.
Yeah, I think unless you have built an audience, it is really hard to understand how much time it takes to build it and how much service you have to give for free to earn the goodwill and trust for people to buy from you. So I get people all the time who are like, hey, can you share this with your audience? And they think I'm being stingy when I say no. But it's literally like, I can only sell to my audience a third of the time that I'm having contact with them. Otherwise, they're going to be like, this chick's always selling. Like, I don't want to be on her list. So if I'm selling a third of the time and I'm pitching a $2,000 on average course, then the other 2/3 of the time, I have to be loving up on them and being helpful to them and building our relationship together. So I just had somebody the other day, they're like, would you put this in front of your audience? We'll give you this much money. And I was like, I mean, I think your product's awesome, and I don't mind having it in the resources page of my courses, but I can't promote it because it's like this much compared to what I charge is this much. So I can't give up a third, that only third that I have to sell to my people, to sell them your thing, which is going to earn me $50 compared to my thing that's going to earn me $2,000. Like that just doesn't make any sort of financial sense.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think about is people with really big lists who are selling their own stuff. Like they're not going to want to give up their sales time unless it's really, really valuable to their audience and they're getting paid a good chunk of change. So think about how else you can get in front of their audience rather than just a monetary exchange. Like I have people come in and teach in my course all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, sometimes people are like, are you going to pay them? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I'm putting them in front of an audience that I've been building for 7 years who trust me. And by putting you in front of them, I'm saying, I trust you. So that's creating a freaking warm as hell lead for you. No, I'm not paying to have you in my course. I'm doing you a favor by putting you in the course. And then they
Yeah.
can get then my students' emails because my students are seeing like, oh my God, this content is so good. I want to be able to like, you know, get more from this person. So think about like, how could you be of service to that audience for free in a way that's going to really make sense for the audience and for the teacher, then get them on your email list. The only time that I will be an affiliate for someone, I'm never an affiliate for saying anybody who's pitched me. I'm only an affiliate for products that I've already done, or like, you know, I know that product really, really well because I've known that person for years. So I think I've been an affiliate for Marissa Lawton's course, which she coached me. She was my business coach and I took her course. So like, I was like, this shit works. I'm willing to be an affiliate for this. And it was like $500 for every sale that I made. And at that time, my course was $1,200. So that made a whole lot of sense. I wasn't teaching what she taught. So there wasn't any competition between her product and mine. So it's really, as Tamara said, like understanding that person's business or trying to, and then making a proposition that makes sense, which is often just like, can I be of service to your audience? And even that is hard to create. I mean, I have people do that all the time too, but even that can be hard to create space for because, and I know this sounds weird, but imagine that if I'm getting 3 calls a week from people who want to be in front of my audience, to vet those things takes time. Yeah. So now I'm giving away time for free to vet something that I'm going to put in front of my audience for free. Like it just doesn't really make sense. So the answer then is be of service, be of service, be of service for free, for free, for free. You will get visibility. People will come to associate your name with a particular thing. And then you're going to be asked. People will be like, could I be an affiliate for that thing that you got there? Like, could you teach in my course? And then you're not selling crap. You're not pitching anything. People are coming to you.
Yeah, it's true. People ask me all the time if they can be an affiliate for my clinical will course. And Amber actually paid me 1 year for all her students in the marketing intensive to get my course, which was very specifically about how to do networking when you don't really like networking. All my courses are about how to do stuff when you don't like doing it. Yeah, so you know, there are things like if you do something and you do it in a particular way, and then I sort of explained to Amber, like, I've made this thing, and we were just talking about it in passing, and then she was like, oh, I'm going to pay you for everybody to do that course, you know, and that's how that course was profitable for me. You know, so there's that. And the other thing that I would say is I have paid people to come and speak to my students and my coaching groups and things like that. I've paid them $200 to come and do a talk on a specific topic. But I've paid them and they've done a good job, and then that's it. Whereas there have been people who have come for free who insisted on not being paid, because I'll pay when they ask to be paid. But there have been people who've insisted on not being paid, and I've had them back multiple times.
Yep.
Because they've said, I don't want you to pay me. What I prefer is that I've got 5 minutes to pitch something, or I'd like to ask people if I can have their email addresses. And then I've been like, yeah, obviously, of course, I'm going to promote you to them anyway. And then I've had them back again. So, you know, like one of our friends, like whenever I can't host my coaching group, she'll host my coaching group. She'll say, no, you can't pay me. You can't pay me. But then that means that she gets to come and host my coaching group again, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas the people I've paid, they did a great job, but I paid them once and that was it, because I can't afford it all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, because there are times when you pay versus when you don't. Like
Sure.
for you, it does you no good to give visibility to my audience. Like you already have a big audience and our audiences overlap a lot. So there's no real benefit to you to being in my course. So then if I want you in my course, I'm going to have to pay you to come into my course so that it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, this is a good one. This is
although I love your audience, they're always very lovely. Whoever I meet, they're always lovely. But yes, we have different big lists. So yes.
This question is, what is a lead magnet? What is a tripwire? I'll do lead magnet if you'll do tripwire.
Sure.
Because I'm not good at tripwires. I want to be.
Neither am
good.
I, but I can tell you what they are.
So a lead magnet, also called an opt-in, also called a freebie, is something that you create that is really helpful to your person. And there are some tricks to it. It's really helpful to your person and helpful enough that they're willing to give you their email address. Because let's be real, none of us want to get more emails right now. So it has to be good, but it has to be good in a very particular way. It has to give that person a quick win. So a 100-page ebook is generally not a good freebie / opt-in / lead magnet, because that feels like too much and too cumbersome. They're not going to get a quick win. We want to give them a dopamine spike. So if you can create even a single page that asks 3 questions that make them have this aha insight, that's more valuable than that 100-page ebook. And an opt-in lead magnet freebie, it can be a digital download, like a little worksheet or something like that. It can be a quick little video. It could be, I don't know, some secret page on your website. It can be all sorts of different things. But the number one most important thing is it's valuable enough for them. And by valuable, I mean it's targeted to what your ideal client needs help with. Valuable enough to them that they get a quick win and they're willing to get on your email list in order to get it.
Yes. If people would like to know how to make a download, there is a course that's inside the bundle, but I actually just can't remember. Megan has a oh yeah, it's digital product blueprint, which is about passive income. Yeah. So you could use Megan's Megan is a sponsor of Pepper Bundle, and so she's got something in there about downloads. You can buy something from Creative Market and stuff like that. Tripwire is essentially like it is what it says it is. Like it's a thing that you trip over. So it's like I signed up for free. Amber made a beautiful download. I signed up for free, and then now I'm in her funnel. And so then either as a result of signing up, I could get a kind of a special offer, or inside her email funnel, she might offer me a low ticket product. And a tripwire is essentially like a low ticket product. The marketing philosophy behind it is that if people buy something low ticket, they're more likely to go on and buy more things from you. You have to turn people in from a follower into a customer to become a bigger customer. This is sort of marketing perspective. Some of it might not feel very nice if you're listening to it for the first time, but essentially it's I mean, the way that I would consider using them is to pay for something. So like you could use your tripwires to pay for your Facebook ads, for example. They're not generally meant to be your main income. They're about leading somewhere else. And what I would say is people often think a tripwire is like a bit of the bigger offer. Like if I give you module 1, then you'll want to do the rest of the offer. That's not how it works. It has to be related to, but not a part of. So it has to be complementary to whatever your offer is going to be. And that's how I think about the opt-in as well. Like, it's not like we're just giving you a bit of information, but if you want more information, you have to pay me. No, it's different information that is foundational and complementary to the rest of the information.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think about anything, there's a little formula I always think of for anything I put out in the world, whether it be a blog, a tripwire, an opt-in, a course, a sales page, it's all the same. I am calling out the pain point that I think that they might be feeling. And I'm like, oh, like it's so hard to build an online course. I hear you. And then I want to give them a solution, a quick one. And I might say, I have what was it that I said was hard? Did I say opt-in? What was I talking about? It's so hard to something. Opt-in.
Build an online course.
Thank you. Was that Margot? Thank you, friend. Okay, so the pain point. It's so hard to build an online course. You have to think of what you're going to have it about, who it's going to serve, how you're going to deliver it, blah, 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 right? I'm amplifying that pain point. And then I'm going to say, what if it could be easy? What if I could give you a 1-page something that'll tell you exactly the steps you need to go through? So it doesn't have to be hard. See how I'm fixing the pain point? And then they're like, cool, yes, can I have that? I give it to them. And now my job is to give them a win. And then I have to agitate whatever the next pain point's going to be so that our relationship doesn't end. It's almost like we leave them on a cliffhanger. So now I'm like, okay, you have the 7 steps to building a course. Woohoo! Are we so excited? And they're like, yes, I'm so excited. And then I'm like, but you know what? The next thing we have to do is come up with a really grabby title for that course. I can teach you how in 10 minutes. Do you want this next thing where I teach you exactly how to come up with a great title? Cool. I give them the 10-minute thing. Then I got to agitate the next thing. Like, oh, awesome. You have the great title, but how are you going to sell it to people? Now I'm going to give them that answer. So it's constantly, what is the pain point? How can I give them a win? How do I agitate the next pain point? And this is how we move them through the entire cycle of anything you're ever going to create. I feel like that was really smart. I just want to say that I feel like if you have that, you have it all.
Yeah.
And you guys, when you're learning about this stuff, like tripwire, opt-in, freebie, rah, 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 it's a lot. I've never, in all of these years, $1 million+ in, I've never had a tripwire.
I don't have one.
I've never
like them.
I've never had a downsell or an upsell.
Me neither.
All this fancy shit, you don't have to have it. You can still make lots of money. They're cool.
Yeah.
It's fun, but you don't have to have any of that.
Maybe I've done a downsell one time. I think I've done a downsell one time, just out of desperation.
A downsell is an offer you put in front of people who didn't buy the offer you were trying to sell. So you've done your, however you're trying to sell them, and they said no. And you're like, well, dang it. Maybe offer them something cheaper and they'll buy that thing. So that's a downsell. An upsell is they bought the thing and you're like, well, now that you have that, wouldn't you also like this? And you try to sell them up on something else.
Yeah, I've never, ever managed an upsell.
I don't think I've ever tried one. I should. You can make like 20 to 30% more on a launch.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
just never done it. Okay, next question. And this may be our last or second to last. And we still have a lot of questions left. So I hope that this is excitement for you tomorrow to do some YouTube content with me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But when I'm at my office and I've got a nice background.
Okay, right. Fair. So this is from Esther. And she says, I'm a UK qualified psychosexual therapist. I love my work so much, and I'm super passionate about helping others with sex and intimacy. Something I've been thinking about for some time now is how little is discussed about sex and intimacy during general psychotherapy, yep, and counseling degrees, yep. I've been thinking for a long time about how I can support psychotherapists and counselors with the topic of sex and intimacy, because sexuality is an essential part. Oh shoot, I lost my okay, here we go. Essential part to all of our clients. I've got a few points on which I'm stuck. I'm stuck at the number one. I'm stuck at the generic idea. Education for therapists around sex and helping therapists to feel more comfortable discussing these topics with clients. But I have a hard time narrowing it down. Okay, so she's got her general idea, but doesn't know how to narrow it down. I'm going to pause and go through each one. There are only 3, but if I do them all at once, well, I'll say them and then maybe we'll go through one at a time. Number 2, I'm not sure what form this should take, whatever the offer is going to be. And number 3, I'm worried that if I was to create a course of some kind for therapists only, the pool of people would be so small to purchase it, and I wouldn't be able to make enough money. Okay. The first thing I would do is some market research to find out if this pain point of therapists not knowing enough about sex to talk with their clients is strong enough that therapists will pay for help around it. So you've established a need, which I agree, therapists should be much better at this and should be asking questions about it and all of this. Do therapists know that this is a problem that they need help to fix? Because if not, it's very hard to sell something that you know is a problem, but they don't know is a problem. Then we're having to convince them it's a problem before we can even put the offer in front of them to sell the darn thing to them. So that would be where I would start, is feeling out the market of therapists around, like, what's it like for you when you talk with your clients about sex? Like, what makes it easy? What makes it hard? How often do you talk about it with them? Like, do you think it's important to talk about it with them? I would go there first Tamara, do you have some thoughts?
Yeah, this is one of those things that, like, if you create something for the people who know that this is a problem, you're creating a solution for people who already kind of have the solution. In that, I think that this has an added part of educating people that this is an issue.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, like, if I'm a therapist and I'm like, wow, I didn't learn enough about sexuality and sex and all relationships and stuff like that in school, I should really know more than that. You know, I've already gone and done some research and consultation and blah, 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 blah. But the people who, well, maybe I haven't, but I'm on that path, right? But the people who really need the help with it are the people who feel really awkward or haven't had any instruction or any information or any kind of consultation around that or learning around that.
Don't
They're
even
the people,
know.
they don't even know that that's a thing that they need to know about. And so I think there's quite a big part of, how do I help those people to be aware without making them feel inadequate or shaming them for not knowing or feeling comfortable or whatever it is? Like, how do I connect with those people? Because that's going to be a bigger audience. I don't think that there's any shortage of therapists out there to serve. You know, we've got, 50,000 in the UK alone. So I think, there's endless people. It's not a small pool, but I think the challenge will be basically like teaching people that they have the issue, if that
Agree.
makes sense. Yeah.
Agree. And I think that one of the ways, so there are kind of two options. You can go that route of like, how do I increase awareness in therapists that they need to be doing more of this, and then sell them my product once I've helped them to know that they should know how to do this. The other route would be going direct to consumer and helping people who should be able to go to their therapist but can't because their therapist is awkward and doesn't bring it up, or they just don't know that they're allowed to talk about it there, and helping them through courses, membership, subscriptions, etc. If you're going to build the audience of therapists, I think the in there is going to be in going on to other therapist podcasts and YouTube channels, getting in their courses and things like that, and then getting emails from there. I would personally prefer to see you go, well, I kind of like you doing that and going direct to consumer with, because we know as consumers that we're having problems in our sex life. We already know that it's an issue, and we would love to not have to talk to anybody face to face about it, and actually get like an online course or something like that. Or like, those cool conversation cards, like a sex, like, let's light up our sex life conversation card kit for couples. I think the consumer is going to be hot to trot to get that kind of information, even more than therapists.
If you build an audience of those consumers and you basically teach the things that you want to teach therapists to do, and you do that with the consumers, then that will legitimize very strongly whatever you sell to therapists. And so the more you go direct, the more people that you help, the more stuff you create in that respect, means that when you then have a second path where you serve the consumer here and you serve the therapist here, then you're very strongly an authority in that area, and that will make it very easy to sell to therapists.
Agree. And Suzanne had a follow-up question that I'm so glad she asked, because sometimes we forget, like, there are some basic things that you guys don't know and we forget. And she says, if I'm helping people like for free, if I'm trying to help people, but I don't have a course, what am I showing them? Like, in my attempts to help, the heck am I showing them if I don't have a course? So I thought that was a damn good question, because hello, we don't even think about that. Like, that's a thing. We should help people know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go because you paused.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, is that a cue?
No.
So you could just be showing them your face. You literally could be going on somebody else's YouTube channel or in somebody else's Facebook group. You could even find Reddit threads where people are struggling with this kind of stuff and go in and just be helpful. Share like, hey, this isn't therapy, but I am a therapist and this is my focus. And, here's just some free help, some tips, whatever. You can't advertise in Reddit. So just be clear about that. But get some practice being helpful for free, whether it's typing and helping people that way, helping people in Facebook groups, getting on YouTube channels, being a guest on podcasts. And then ideally, we would have some sort of free, maybe digital download kind of thing that you could give to people who then want to get on your email list to get more helpful information. And then you're just emailing them helpful tips like, hey, this month we're focused on identifying what actually feels good for you. And here are 5 tips to be able to identify that for yourself. And next month, it's how to communicate those things to your partner or partners, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, the same. I wrote down, like, when I paused, what I wrote down was you. So the thing is, like, if you don't have a course to send people to, the thing that you're showing them is you. And that can be in whatever format. That can be, essentially, it's about establishing your authority. So yes, at some point we want to sell and we want to monetize, and of course we do, but all the time that you're putting into your side hustle, we loosely use the term side hustle because we know how much time they take, but all the time that you're putting into your side hustle should be paid for by your practice. So that's why we talk so much about fee setting and marketing in private practice, is because we cannot build a side hustle as a whole other business on top of a full-time business. That's not reasonable for, and we've both done that before and learned the hard way that you cannot do a full week's work and then add on another business on top of all the other responsibilities that I've got in life. So what we must do is raise our fees enough to have enough time so that we can build another business. And my loose suggestion for this is making sure that you've got 6 paid hours per week, paid for by your practice or whatever your other business is, so that you've got 6 hours to work on this per week, as you're building it. And it's, so when we say do this for free, do this for free, do this for free, we mean do this for free, paid for by your business. We don't mean just work 75 hours a week. That's not what this life is about, So it is about establishing your authority within the bounds of like what you're able to do, basically.
That was so beautiful. I'm so glad that you said that. Yeah. If you need help figuring out how to make more in your private practice, I have a course for that. It's the Marketing Intensive. And I think that what I put in the bundle was okay. I have a 5-hour training in the bundle, teaching you my marketing framework so that you can market to private pay clients and get more income so that you can have time off these 6 hours in order to start or build or scale your side hustle. And remember that those 6 hours aren't all creating stuff. At least half is going to be devoted to learning. And as we're getting close to wrapping up, Tamara and I really do want to serve you in some kind of offer in the new year. So if you can share in the comments what would be super useful to you, we would really appreciate it. And
we'll do it.
We'll do the thing. If you don't have time, just grab that link. It says forums.clickup.com. And you can, don't follow the format in there and just put in there like, Amber, this is what I need. And we will take all of that into account. But in the short run, if you can just put some stuff in the comments about like, this is what I need for the next step, we really do want to create it for you.
I've loved doing this so much. We could just do this once a month.
I know, right? Like that would be my dream.
This would be so fun.
If we could do this and just be able to like a coaching container for developing a side hustle, that would be ideal because we could just show up with all of our knowledge and share.
Can you imagine? Yeah. This would be so fun. Like this is always, it is always really fun. This once a month sounds fun. Andrea's here. Hello.
Yeah. we've both spent a ton of money and a ton of time on learning. And I meant to say this earlier. It's really important, so I am going to say it now. You know, people will say to you, you have to spend money to make money. And that is true. You have to spend time or money to make money. But please don't let people use that as a way to leverage you into a $6,000 program when you don't have an audience, you haven't ever sold anything to them. Like when you're paying that kind of money, we're at the point now where we're profitizing something that's already established. That's not the starting place. I think I've paid well over $70,000 now in courses and coaching over the last, I don't know however long I've been doing this.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's all been money that I either had or made up quickly. And the coaching or courses offers usually match for what I needed at the time. So please, I know that there are offers out there right this minute that are like, well, I'm going to call it out. We'll publish your book for you, just give us 11K or, whatever the hell it is. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, you're not going to make a profit on that book because that's not how the industry works right now. So just, guard your money and be careful to not get sold on big promises. It's a process to build a profitable side hustle, and it's a freaking worth it process. It's so fun and it's so worth it. And the free time is so worth it. And the income is so worth it. But it does take time to get there. So please don't dump like 12 G's into something right now.
For sure. And also, so what I always, maybe just as like, be cautious, as Amber said. And what I always try to remember is that getting support from people, getting questions from people, getting things that are tailored to you is really important. Following a program that costs like a load of money where people are like, if you do this and you do this and you do this, then this will happen. It's very unlikely to happen because most of us develop these programs like retrospectively. So like what you'll have noticed, what we've done today is we've said, this is our experience. This is what we've done. Here's a tangible example of what's happened. However, we also know that that was what the industry was like at that particular point in time. We can't possibly predict what will happen. Like we have absolutely no idea how the election or the war or how this will affect things, how our individual, the weather, like hurricanes. We have absolutely no idea how things would affect things. We can just tell you our experience and what we've learned. That's it. And so anytime there's a program where it's like, I'm going to do this for you and you're going to make this, I'm like, but you can't possibly know that, we can't possibly know that. So we just have to be a little bit discerning about the promises that are made. I'm much more likely to shell out for a promise of support than I am for a promise of profit or result, because I kind of know that they can't possibly know that.
Yes. I'm going to pause because I don't want this recorded. If anybody is starting by selling you on how to make the product, buy cheap. You can spend money on it because it's freaking fun, but it should be cheap. If they're teaching you how to build an audience, still cheap, but I'd spend more on it.
Me too.
That's like, because really that's where it has to start. You don't know whether you should create a subscription, a course, a membership, coaching calls. You don't know any of that crap until you've been serving your audience. And then they'll tell you, trust me, they will let you know what it is that they want. So don't pay money to learn how to create products when you don't know yet if that's what your audience is going to want from you. You don't know until you have the audience.
Absolutely.
P.S., by the way, to give you a little inspiration, somebody that I'm coaching right now, I'm not going to call this person's name out. She just started by generously helping people with her thing. And she was helping. And people were like, ooh, I love this thing. First launch, 5 figures. Second launch, same year, 6 figures. 6 figures, second launch, first year. That's very unusual, but it is possible because she was only reacting to her audience. That's it. Serve for free, listen. gave them what they wanted. She never had to come up with an idea for what the heck am I going to create, or do I do it as a course or a membership or a subscription, because her audience told her exactly what they wanted. And then she made that, and then she made a crap ton of money.
Yeah. There's lots of people. If you haven't had a look in the bundle, go and have a look on therabundle.com/Amber. And if you scroll down, you get to a dashboard and you can search for people and you can search for offers. So you can have a look at multiple income streams as a category. And also, one of the things that I would say, there's quite a few people in the bundle who've been coached by Amber. So Stephanie Feld, for example, has a course in there about intensives, how to schedule intensives. And you could go and have a look at that as a really, really good, generally going and studying Stephanie's kind of business model, I think is really interesting, because she's done so many things in the last couple of years. And there's quite a few other people who are in the bundle that have been coached by Amber. There's quite a few people in the bundle who bought the bundle last year or the year before and then are in it now. So there's a lot of stuff in there about your private practice, about profitability, and a lot of stuff in there also about building multiple income streams and the things that we need. There's quite a lot of stuff in there about websites and marketing as well, like about page, service page, that kind of thing, templates. And so I would just say, like, if you aren't already, like, if you haven't already got resources, that is a way of getting resources for cheap. It's $100. Yeah.
I might just be about to take away everything I just said about audience first. Hold on. Is the bundle going to be here next year?
I don't think so, but maybe, and maybe in some different form.
Okay.
It depends. Like, it evolves. Everything evolves every year. So there will be some sort of evolution. And it is really important to me that not only that we support the contributor team, the summit, the speaker, and the contributor team, but that the people who purchase TheraBundle, like, we're very much sort of end up connected, and they do often become contributors. And so whatever project happens next, there is opportunity. Do you know what I mean? That's really important.
Yeah. Okay, so I just had a crazy idea. Everybody listen, because you're going to want to do it, because I think it's going to be super fun. What if, because everybody really wants to make the product, right? Like, that's the super fun part, and it doesn't take as long as building an audience, whatever, right? What if you and I helped people to make a small product, but a very useful one, and then help them get into a bundle or a summit, yours or somebody else's, if you're not going to do it, to build the audience, the email list. And then we can help them find community place to keep building the audience. But that way they would get to do the thing they all really want to do, which is create the darn product. And then we could help them get into a place to build the email list.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. And summits and bundles are a great way to build an audience. They're not a great way to build a super
engaged,
niche, dedicated audience, but they're a very good way to meet people and start building. You have to really invest in longevity with bundle and summit audiences, but it's a way to meet a lot of people very quickly. So, yeah, there's lots of cool. Yeah, and I'd love to tell people about how to build their audience with summits and bundles at some point.
Heck yeah, that could be a module in our whatever we're going to call it.
Our thing.
In our thing.
Talamabam. Yeah.
All right. And Michelle, just to finish answering your question, yeah, I would definitely say YouTube would be the place to do the education. And then if your people are hanging out on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, if your people are on Pinterest, you could then promote your YouTube videos on Pinterest. And then we do need a place for the community aspect. And there are ways that you can do that on YouTube, or we would start a Facebook group to build community and occasionally lead them to your YouTube channel. Yeah. So lead gen on YouTube, and we'll think through community, but definitely using Pinterest and Instagram to get the content from YouTube out. All right, friends, we went over time. I was really nervous that nobody was actually going to come. So I really appreciate that everybody came. I hope it was super useful. And Tamara and I will answer all the questions that we were not able to get to at a later date. and we'll
Yeah,
email you about it.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna go to sleep now because it's 10
Okay.
past 11. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming. It was so fun.
All right. Bye, guys. Take good care.